liebsten loswerden. Die Person im Außen zeigt dir deine eigene innere Zerrissenheit. Wenn du lernst, diese beiden inneren Teile, den unsicheren und den kritischen, anzunehmen und zu verstehen, dass sie auch nur dazugehören wollen, dann wird sich dein Gefühl gegenüber der Person im Außen auch verändern. Du kannst sie dann eher so sehen, wie sie ist, ohne dich schlecht zu fühlen. Finde heraus, was die Teile brauchen, die du ablehnst, egal ob es Teile in dir sind oder Dinge, Menschen in der Welt. Was brauchen sie, damit du sie wieder als Teil von dir oder dem Ganzen sehen kannst? Das ist eine wichtige Aufgabe im Leben. Das ist deine wichtige Aufgabe im Leben. Eine einfache Übung für mehr Liebe ist: Such nach Gemeinsamkeiten. Normalerweise sucht unser Kopf ständig nach Unterschieden. Ich bin so, der andere ist so. Das trennt uns. Mach es andersrum. Was habe ich mit dieser Person oder Sache gemeinsam? Besonders bei denen, die du nicht magst. Welchen Teil von
If
dir
you're having a
selbst
panic
zeigen
attack,
sie dir vielleicht? Du kannst nicht gleichzeitig etwas lieben und hassen. Wenn du das Gefühl hast, beides zu empfinden, bedeutet das, dass verschiedene Teile in dir im Konflikt stehen. Du bist innerlich zerrissen. Wenn du geliebt werden willst, ist es super wichtig, echt zu sein. Wenn du dich verstellst oder eine Maske trägst, zeigst du ja nicht dein wahres Ich. Wie sollen andere dich dann wirklich annehmen und lieben? Wenn du nicht authentisch bist, hältst du dich selbst auf Abstand und gibst anderen gar nicht die Chance, dich zu lieben. Man könnte sagen, das Herz des Universums ist gebrochen, in all die vielen einzelnen Teile, Menschen und Dinge. Wenn wir uns als getrenntes Ich fühlen, haben wir eigentlich immer ein bisschen ein gebrochenes Herz. Unsere Aufgabe ist es, dieses Gefühl des Getrenntseins durch Liebe wieder zu heilen und uns zu verbinden. Jedes Mal, wenn wir etwas lieben, auch einen Teil von uns selbst, helfen wir dabei, das große Ganze wieder mehr zu vereinen. Die neue Frage, die du dir stellen kannst, wenn du Angst hast oder etwas ablehnst, ist: Wie könnte ich das nicht lieben? Denn die Wahrheit ist ja, alles ist verbunden. Egal, ob du es magst oder nicht, es ist irgendwie ein Teil des Ganzen, also auch ein Teil von dir. Du kannst es nicht wirklich nicht lieben, weil es schon da ist und dazugehört. Also übe dich darin, Dinge anzunehmen und zu verbinden. Übe dich im Gefühl des Einsseins. Übe dich in der Liebe. Das sind alles nur verschiedene Worte für dasselbe. Nimm die Teile von dir an, besonders die, die du nicht magst. Sieh sie als Teil von dir. Jo, 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 jo. Hello. Alrighty. It's been a long day. The day's been long and rough, dude. We made a new YouTube channel. And the YouTube is okay, but the Instagram account got like banned. Because I got 2 followers in 10 seconds, and then they said I must have botted or something. I swear that's what they said. So they want me to change password, but I can't change the password because I log in through Facebook. So the interface is so weird. It doesn't work, and then I don't know, it's blocked now. No idea. You can't contact them. Not even like talk to an AI or something. They think they got all the questions in like a Q&A, you know. Nope. Sorry for the echo.
Drei
Is it good now?
der häufigsten Gründe, weshalb sich jemand mit desorganisiertem Bindungsstil, also ängstlich vermeidendem Bindungsstil,
Is she talking German or is this like a voiceover?
zurückzieht bzw. davonläuft. Und egal, ob du derjenige bist,
I don't even know. Yo, thanks for follow. Let's see if you are a bot. Luke Ryder. It's a cool name actually. Saber Rider. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for somebody, and then we're gonna watch this. Why Instagram? Why? Why you do this? I made a short. I look so happy. In the thumbnail, I look like a chipmunk, dude. Because I'm so fat in my face. This is hilarious. Do you work out? Yo, what's up? Yes, I do. I try. Not this week anymore, because I'm recovering now. I must not be sweating. But probably Monday we can do again a workout stream. Yeah, currently we do them Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can check them out on the YouTube actually, but I'm not sure if I have a command. Let's see. what is this? Oh no, this is a wrong link. What the fuck? Wow, it has like 10-year-old plus commands saved up here. What the fuck is this? Can everybody see this? Is this like open? What the fuck? What is this data? Interesting. I wanted to see a flex. Why not? There. You got your flex. The rest is an OnlyFans. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm not gonna move more than this, probably, so gotta take it, man. We're taking a break. It's like a recovery week. It's pretty good. Just eat and sleep. And stress over work. I have like 20 videos queued up. I just need to like double check them before I upload it. I just can't get to do it, and it's so easy to do, you know? I just look, is everything good? Is the thumbnail good? Send. It's like it's content that I'm lagging behind. Yeah, but most of the things I have to cut still. Oh boy, it's also much work. Anyways, let me see where my special guest is. I wonder, should we start watching something? Your definition.
As a race, human beings are going through a huge shift right now, a shift in their consciousness. They're experiencing a 100th monkey experience. What's the 100th monkey? Basically, if you take a bunch of chimpanzees and somebody finds a new tool, a new way of doing something, that monkey passes it to the next monkey, which passes it to the next monkey, and by the 100th monkey, the entire species essentially has that tool. We are experiencing that relative to relationships. Up until today, relationships in the human race have been dysfunctional. So many relationship experts talk about insecure attachment styles. They talk about the classic codependent and narcissistic relationship, but they talk about this as if it's the rarity. Guess what? It's not the rarity. It's the human condition. The rarity is a human being who has figured out how to have a secure attachment, and the rarity is a human being that has figured out how to love in a way that isn't abusive. But all of this is about to change. The old way of having relationships and subsequently our subconscious definition of love have been passed down to us for thousands of years. But to understand it, we have to see how it's passed down, how it begins. Because our parents did not receive true love long before we were born, they entered a kind of self-centered bubble where they had to fight for their needs in all kinds of covert and overt ways. As a result of this, most parents have children in the first place for these self-centered reasons. We are born with the thought and expectation that we will serve a need that they have. They do not really take us as part of themselves and cannot really embrace us as our unique selves as opposed to what they want us to be. Most of the things they give us are transactional in nature. Because of this dynamic, it's not a true partnership that we have with our parents. They can treat us in any way they like without being really attuned to the impact they're having on us. They can treat us in any way they like, whether it's an incoming abuse like shaming or outgoing abuse like emotional neglect, and still, we're expected to be the one that maintains our connection to them, stays committed to them, and puts their needs and desires first. If we do not, we're made out to be the bad guy. We're made out to be the self-centered one that hurts them. What we learn is that true love is the same as staying connected to and committed to and putting someone first, regardless of what they do or don't do to us. This is actually mankind's definition of love, regardless of whether people are aware of this or not. This is what they think love is. And because it's their definition of unconditional love, it's what everyone's looking for, and it's what everyone's trying to create. Sit with that definition of love that I just gave you for a moment.
So theatrical.
I mean, I really want this to settle in, just how messed up this is. Just how wide open the door is for abuse there. I want you to see that the major potential is that you could think abuse or neglect is love. Now, this definition gets us in a lot of trouble because it sets us up for failure. Oftentimes, we chase people who are abusive or people who are completely unavailable to us. But even if we don't do that, it sets us up for what's to follow, which is that the minute that somebody commits, that's not really love to us. Love is, as I said before, somebody being committed regardless of what we're doing to them. And so here's what happens. We have to turn the tables on the person who we've chased, the person who we wanted to be with. And we turn the tables in this way. We have to do anything to them, even leave them and abandon them, in order to see that they're committed to us and are going to stay with us regardless of what we do or don't do. And then we know we're loved. There is no safety in our relationships as a result. We're caught in an endless pattern of erratically hurting each other, withdrawing from each other, pushing each other away, and desperately clinging to each other. If you have grown up with a self-centered parent, and here I'm going to warn you, the parents who say they're the most selfless, that constantly remind you of everything they're doing for you, are in fact the most selfish, so don't fall for that. But the parents, if you've grown up with one who is self-centered, it sets up a state where, because they're only concerned with their needs and you feel it on some level, you basically have to fight for your own best interests. So you adopt the same technique. I have to care about my own needs. And so you're basically fighting for your selfhood. You're fighting for your needs. This is the opposite of love. To love something is to take it as a part of yourself. It is completely inclusive. When you love something, you energetically pull it towards you and include it as you. But if you've grown up with one of these self-centered parents, which, I'm sorry, this is the human condition, you can't conceptualize of how to merge. That concept doesn't exist. All you can understand is the concept of being swallowed. Now, if you can understand the concept of being swallowed, what that means is you're terrified that if you take somebody else as part of yourself or let them take you as part of themselves, what's going to happen is a one-way relationship where you're meeting their needs and you're prioritizing their best interests, but they're not doing the same thing back. So instead, you're getting engulfed and losing yourself in them completely. This is also not love. In love, you take the other person's best interests as part of your own best interests, and they take your best interests as part of their best interests. And closeness is the primary priority in both of your lives. This creates the only true safety in relationship. You can't hurt something that you take as part of yourself without hurting yourself. But obviously, if you haven't grown up with this type of love, which you haven't, you've grown up with a parent where this was not the case at all. This type of relationship wasn't a possibility. It was a one-way relationship, you staying connected to mom and dad regardless of what they did or didn't do. You basically think this is what your relationships are going to look like. So instead, you cling to your selfhood and you fight the relationship. This is what power struggles are all about. We prevent love. We fight to keep ourselves separate but in relationship. We cannot risk the trust of giving ourselves to the other person and them giving themselves to us, so we can never experience the feeling of symbiotic love. We are trapped in ego and society supports it. It is not love to stay committed to and connected to someone regardless of what they do or don't do to you. It isn't love to expect someone to stay connected to you regardless of what you do or don't do to them. In real love, you're not losing any kind of self at all. Why? Because you are choosing to include them as you and vice versa out of your own free will. Anytime you use your own free will to make a choice, that's you, self, making a choice.
I am so far beyond
even if your choice is to create fusion in your relationships. When we do this, we are completely committed to a relationship. And commitment into a relationship is the only way your relationships are actually going to feel good. The war between selves ends.
That's really good.
Now, an interesting thing happens when you actually live your life according to the real definition of love instead of this false one that human beings have propagated for thousands of years. The interesting thing that happens is that suddenly you can see a third option. Now, a lot of the happiness and security in your relationships has to do with finding a third option. So it's not a needs conflict. It's not me versus you. I win, you lose, or you win and I lose. It's basically when you can take the other person's best interest as your own, and they can take your best interest as their own, so as to find something that meets both of your mutual best interests. This is what gives rise to trust and security in the relationship. This brings an end to both loneliness and abuse. I suggest you take a look at your definition of love today, even if some of you haven't known it. We are stepping out of this
really
paradigm.
good and
we are waking up to what real love is versus our crappy definition of what it was before this. And the first step is letting go of this definition. Have a good week. What gives rise to trust and waking up to conflict. Interesting thing is that's you, self, making a
Where's
choice.
this one picture?
It's not
It
against
was
your will.
amazing.
Even if your choice is to create fusion in your relationships. When we do this, we are completely committing to a relationship. And commitment into a relationship
fuck?
is the only way your relationships are actually going to feel good.
Anyways, so much truth, dude. It is just like the video I made. In German though. For the new channel, check it out. It is the truth. And I could almost see, how do you say, like, paradise if it wasn't for my not being able to trust people. I think that's gonna be a rough one to get rid of. Hmm.
Drei der häufigsten Gründe, weshalb sich jemand mit desorganisiertem Bindungsstil, also ängstlich vermeidendem Bindungsstil, zurückzieht bzw. davonläuft. Und egal, ob du diejenige bist mit dem desorganisierten Bindungsstil oder ob du mit jemandem zusammen bist, der diesen Bindungsstil hat, dieses Video gibt dir Aufschluss darüber, weshalb das Ganze passiert und zeigt dir als Partner oder Partnerin oder Freund oder Freundin des desorganisierten Bindungsstils, dass es nicht persönlich gemeint ist. Und das ist mega wichtig zu wissen, denn ich weiß aus persönlicher Erfahrung ganz genau, wie schrecklich das sein kann, wie schmerzhaft das ist, wenn du das nicht weißt und das Ganze auf dich beziehst und dich fühlst wie im Schleudergang. Oder auch wenn du als Desorganisierter nicht weißt, warum du das machst. Das ist genauso schrecklich. Und deshalb mache ich dieses Video. Also, hör aufmerksam zu. So, erster Grund. Der Desorganisierte ist burned out. Warum burned out? Weil du ständig versuchst, deinen Wert zu beweisen, dass du stark bist, dass du wertvoll bist, dass du liebenswert bist. Du versuchst es zu beweisen, weil du es selber nicht glaubst und du glaubst, du musst dafür alles tun im Außen, damit Menschen dieses erkennen und dir das zeigen, das, was du selbst in dir aber noch nicht erkannt hast. Und genau das ist ja das Problem. Und deshalb versuchst du auf allen Hochzeiten gleichzeitig zu tanzen. Egal, ob das im Job ist, wo du ein Overachiever meistens bist, ob das in Beziehungen zu Freunden oder in Liebesbeziehungen ist. Du versuchst immer allen alles Möglichste recht zu machen. Du verabredest dich mit vielen Leuten sozusagen gleichzeitig. Also dein Zeitmanagement ist nicht so top. Genau deshalb, weil du eben irgendwie doch alles in einen Tag packen willst, was aber gar nicht funktionieren kann. Und dadurch bist du natürlich ganz schnell ausgelaugt. Emotional, physisch, energetisch. Und dann musst du dich zurückziehen, damit du irgendwie durchatmen kannst. Richtig? Und damit du dich regulieren kannst. Das hat aber nichts mit den anderen zu tun, sondern eher mit dir als desorganisiertem Bindungsstil. Und mit deinen Glaubenssätzen, denn daraus resultiert ja das Ganze. Und deshalb ist es so wichtig, dass du deine Glaubenssätze, deine limitierenden Glaubenssätze in dein Bewusstsein holst, um sie dann bearbeiten zu können und überschreiten zu können mit der Wahrheit. Denn deine limitierenden Glaubenssätze sind ja Lügen, wie wir wissen, die dir erzählt wurden, übergestülpt wurden als Kind. Und du hast es verdient, dass du die Wahrheit lebst und nicht diese Lügen. Du fühlst dich also ständig unter Druck gesetzt. Du selbst setzt dich unter Druck. Du kommst nicht mehr zur Ruhe. Nicht mal nachts. Klar, weil wenn du den ganzen Tag nicht zur Ruhe kommst, dann kommst du auch nachts nicht zur Ruhe. Was natürlich auch deinen Traumata zu verdanken ist, dass du ständig auf der Flucht bist. Und auf der Flucht im Fight-Flight-Freeze-Modus bist du ständig in Gefahr. Und wenn jemand in Gefahr ist, dann ist keine Zeit zum Schlafen, keine Zeit für Veränderung. und keine Zeit, in die Ruhe zu kommen, logischerweise. Und dein Körper weiß nicht, dass du nicht wirklich in Gefahr bist. Für deinen Körper bist du in diesem Traumamodus, das bedeutet Gefahr, denn damals war es Gefahr. Damals ging es sozusagen um Leben und Tod und um zu überleben. Du bist also ständig angespannt. Du versuchst ständig zwischen den Zeilen zu lesen. Was könnte der andere jetzt von dir brauchen? Was könnte der andere jetzt denken? Was muss ich jetzt tun, damit der andere dies oder das denkt oder dies oder das nicht denkt, damit ich die Situation den anderen Menschen unter Kontrolle habe und. So kannst du nicht zur Ruhe kommen. Also sprich, im Endeffekt ziehst du dich gar nicht vor den anderen Menschen zurück, sondern vor dem Druck. Das Ding ist aber, den Druck machst du dir ja selbst. Und deshalb kannst du dich gar nicht zurückziehen. Und das sollst du ja auch gar nicht, weil wenn du dich vor dir selbst zurückziehst, kannst du nicht heilen. Wenn du dich also selbst sozusagen, deine Emotionen, deine Gedanken nicht annimmst, nicht durchlebst, deine Emotionen vor allen Dingen, deine Gefühle, sondern einfach auf Stumm schaltest, dann kannst du nicht heilen. Das ist ja wie bei einer Wunde, wo du immer wieder einfach ein Pflaster draufklebst und sagst, okay, ist geheilt, ich sehe nichts mehr. Aber die Wunde ist natürlich immer noch da. Und das Pflaster ist nur temporär. Da machst du das Pflaster wieder runter und dann ist die Wunde wieder da. Geht ganz schnell. Also keine Lösung. Wenn du also an deinen Kernverletzungen arbeitest, an deinen limitierenden Glaubenssätzen, ich bin nicht wertvoll, ich bin nicht gut genug, ich bin defekt, ich bin dies, ich bin das, dann kannst du das Ganze heilen. Wenn du diese Kernverletzungen in positive, empowernde Glaubenssätze umwandelst. Und das geht. Du kannst das. 100%. Zweitens, der Desorganisierte fühlt sich ausgenutzt, weil er sie die ganze Zeit gibt. Die ganze Zeit. Und nicht empfängt. Das heißt nicht, dass du deinen desorganisierten Partner bewusst ausnutzt. Das kann ganz schnell passieren, unbewusst, weil der Desorganisierte nicht preisgibt, was seine bzw. ihre Bedürfnisse wirklich sind. Jemand mit desorganisiertem Bindungsstil ist hypersensibel, kann sehr gut zwischen den Zeilen lesen, kann sehr gut erkennen und fühlen, was der andere braucht. Erwartet dann aber, dass der andere das genauso macht, was nicht funktioniert. Denn das, lieber Desorganisierte, ist deine Superpower. Kann zumindest deine Superpower sein, je nachdem, wie du es nutzt. In diesem Falle ist es eher ein Fluch. Weil wenn du erwartest, dass der andere das genauso kann, sprich genauso machst, dann ziehst du immer den Kürzeren. Weil die meisten Leute das nämlich nicht machen, auch nicht können und das auch gar nicht deren Aufgabe ist. Sondern deine Aufgabe ist es zu lernen, deine Bedürfnisse erstens dir selbst zu befriedigen und zweitens dem anderen klar und deutlich zu kommunizieren. Und dann fühlst du dich auch viel besser und dann wirst du auch nicht ausgenutzt werden. Du wirst dich auch nicht so fühlen. Plus, du musst und darfst gesunde Grenzen setzen. Das bedeutet eben, deine Bedürfnisse und deine Gefühle, deine Empfindungen offen zu kommunizieren. Wenn nicht, ist es kein Wunder, dass du psychologisch, körperlich, also physisch, zeitlich, ja auch zeitlich, ganz schnell burnt out bist, weil du dich einfach überlädst. Drittens, der Desorganisierte fühlt sich getriggert. Und ganz besonders, wenn das mega starke Trigger sind. Angst, verlassen zu werden, nicht vertrauen zu können, mega misstrauisch zu sein, die Angst, dass du verlassen wirst, dass du abgelehnt wirst. All das sind mega Trigger, Haupttrigger aus deinem Bindungsstil, aus deiner Kindheit, die verständlicherweise da sind. Und dann rennst du weg aus Schutz, weil du diese schmerzhaften Gefühle nicht fühlen willst. Das ist ganz logisch und verständlich. Aber wenn du deine Heilung angehst, deine innere Arbeit anfängst und machst, dann heilst du das und dann brauchst du nicht mehr wegzulaufen. Dann brauchst du andere Menschen nicht mehr wegzustoßen aus Angst. Und dann kannst du ein gesundes, erfülltes Leben führen und leben. Und gesunde und erfüllte Beziehungen erleben. Und du wirst auch körperlich gesünder sein. Du wirst viel mehr Energie haben und du wirst nicht mehr burnt out sein. Es gilt also, alles klar zu kommunizieren. Wenn du Space brauchst für dich, dann kommuniziere das am besten vorher. Hey, du, ich bin gerade mega überfordert von meiner Arbeit oder auch von meinen Gefühlen. Ich brauche jetzt einfach mal kurz Raum für mich. Bitte lass mir diesen Raum. Und also kommuniziere das und erwarte das dann auch von deinem Partner oder deiner Partnerin. Und du, wenn du mit jemandem zusammen bist, der den desorganisierten Bindungsstil hat, solltest das dann natürlich auch respektieren, ganz klar. Und auch selbst transparent und offen und ehrlich sein. Leg die Karten auf den Tisch. Vorher. Oder solltest du es mal nicht vorher getan haben, dann zumindest hinterher zuzugeben und zu sagen, du, pass mal auf, ich habe mich zurückgezogen, weil das und das und das. Und nicht das Ganze einfach stillschweigen. Das ist nie gut. Und es kommt immer wieder hoch und dann stößt es umso bitterer nach oben. Also könnt ihr alles vermeiden und solltet ihr auch. Also im Gegensatz zu dem ängstlich besorgten Bindungsstil, die ja immer aktivierende Strategien nutzen, wenn sie Angst bekommen, verlassen oder weggestoßen zu werden. Im Gegensatz dazu benutzt der Desorganisierte meistens deaktivierende Strategien. Also geht er in den Abstand, weil ja einer der vermeidenden Bindungsstile, richtig? Und manchmal werden sie auch von starken Schuld- oder Schamgefühlen überwältigt. Und auch dann geht der Desorganisiert in den Abstand, in die Flucht. Und auch das gilt es natürlich zu heilen und zu bearbeiten. Und auch darüber solltest du als Partner, Partnerin mit deinem Freund, mit deiner Freundin ganz offen und ehrlich sprechen. Sucht gemeinsam nach einer Lösung. Wie könnt ihr euch da entgegenkommen? Wie kannst du deinen desorganisierten Partner oder Partnerin bestens unterstützen? Und. Lasst euch was einfallen. Und wenn ihr das tut, wenn du das tust, dann steht einem glücklichen und erfüllten Leben und Beziehung und bester Gesundheit auch nichts mehr im Wege. Und solltest du dir Unterstützung dabei wünschen, dann buch dir gerne, hier auf dem Link unter diesem Video, deine kostenlose Kennenlern-Coaching-Stunde mit mir, bei mir. Ich freue mich auf dich. Denn mit professionellem Coaching geht es wesentlich schneller. Die meisten schaffen es auch gar nicht alleine. Ja, und ansonsten freue ich mich, wenn du den Daumen hoch drückst und meinen Kanal abonnierst, damit du kein Video hier mehr verpasst. Ich werde jetzt wieder öfter Videos machen. Und
was hat ihr denn so
solltest
gemacht?
du deinen Bindungsstil noch nicht kennen, kannst du gerne den kostenlosen Bindungsstil machen, den ich hier unter das Video gepackt habe. Und lass dich einfach mal überraschen. Ich freue mich auf dich im nächsten Video, in meinem Coaching oder bei einem von beidem, whatever. Also, alles Liebe für dich.
Guck mal, die war schon auf Sat 1. Nice. Vater, hast du gesehen? Hast du das mit den Bindungsstilen gesehen, worüber ich geredet hatte?
Hi friends, welcome back or welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, the subconscious mind, and how you can use your subconscious mind and reprogram it to change and transform the experience of reality that you are currently having and switch to a version of reality that you would prefer to be in. Everything that you are experiencing has been birthed from your subconscious mind. Not from your parents, not from your peers, not from your boyfriend or girlfriend, not from the environment that you're in, but from how your mind has subconsciously stored all the information that you have perceived consciously up until now, how it has perceived it, how it has stored it. That is what's creating continuously your patterns, your behaviors, your experiences, everything in your life. Even if you consciously know, for example, you want something different for yourself, you want a new reality, a new version of event, a new relationships, new career, whatever, and even though you know you want that, if that is not impressed upon your subconscious mind, then it will not be birthed into your reality. So I want to explain to you why I'm using the word birthed. I want to explain to you the role of the subconscious compared to the conscious mind and compared to the superconscious or God mind that is within each of us, how those kind of fit in, what are each of their roles, how they interact with each other. And then I'm going to tell you how you can actually reprogram your subconscious so that you can have what you actually want to experience in your reality. Within each of us, we have our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and then we also have our God mind or our superconscious mind. The word superconscious I got from the book The Game of Life and How to Play It. I'll pop an image of it here. What it basically is referring to is the God mind within each of us, okay? So we're each expressions of the divine. We're each little mini gods in our own way. We are all created in God's image. We are all a part of the infinite divine, the all-knowing mind, okay? Even when we look at the Hermetics, they say the universe is mental, the all is mind. There is an infinite intelligence that has created everything, but that infinite intelligence also exists within us. It's a part of us. We were created by it. And so we are it as well. As well as being physical beings, we are also spiritual beings. We have access to all of these different elements. So if we even think about the 3 planes of existence, we exist on a physical, mental, and spiritual plane. Physically, what's tied up in our physical plane is our conscious mind, okay? So the conscious mind is always trying to predict, trying to think, control, using reasoning, logic, and really our conscious mind is really concerned with our survival in this physical world. By virtue of us descending down to this physical plane and becoming actual physical beings in a body, we had to develop a conscious mind in order to keep us safe. So the conscious mind is very concerned with keeping us safe. It is logical thinking, taking on information, and it feeds back into the subconscious, but the most important thing for the conscious mind is really just our survival. Then we have the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is your unconscious operating system. It is the part of your mind that is keeping your body running without you thinking about it, okay? So if we think about the mental plane, you can conceptualize that almost as your subconscious mind. Whatever is in there, you don't think about consciously, but it's what's keeping you breathing, it's what's keeping your heart beating, it's what is getting your body to digest your food, and it's also processing the information conveyed by the conscious mind, which we're going to get into in a minute because not all information is created equal, but I will explain that in a minute, okay? Wait. It is storing the significant information, which I'll tell you about in a second, in the subconscious, in the back of your mind, so you don't have to keep thinking about it, but it's a program that's kind of instilled in there, in the background, so that, for example, if you see a lion running towards you, you can know immediately to run without thinking about it. It is the birthplace of all your automatic reactions, your habits, your behaviors. If you have bad posture, like I've got terrible posture sometimes, I'm trying to retrain myself, that's coming from your subconscious. That is literally just a subconscious habit. Everything that you do without really thinking too much about it automatically is coming from your subconscious mind. How you react emotionally is coming from your subconscious mind. Even just the limits you're placing on yourself in terms of your identity, everything like that is coming from what is stored in your subconscious. Your subconscious is literally the birthplace of all of your physical experiences. So 90 to 95% of how we think, feel, act, react, respond, everything comes from our subconscious mind, not our conscious mind. Did you ever stop and wonder, why am I having these thoughts? Why do I have these habits? Why do I have these patterns? Why are they so hard to break? Why can't I just decide to break them? It's because they're coming from a deeply embedded belief or information that has been planted into your subconscious, and once it gets in there, that is what is ruling you, and that is what is influencing you, that is what is triggering you to act and be a certain way in this lifetime. So your subconscious, I hope you're realizing by now, is very, very important. And then we have the spiritual plane, which is also going to be where your God mind, your non-physical being, the infinite intelligence that you can tap into, that's where that's going to be housed. So we all have access to the infinite intelligence of God, of the all. We are a part of it, and so we have access to it. Because your subconscious is the birthplace of everything in your reality, your subconscious still is not exactly creating these things. It's almost sending up a signal, depending on what your conscious thoughts imprint into your subconscious. Once your subconscious accepts the idea, it basically emits a signal to the superconscious, okay? The everything, the all it is, the source. And then we gain from that the infinite intelligence in line with whatever truth is now in our subconscious. And then from there, we get intuitive action, beliefs, emotions, thoughts that are in line with that information that we got from superconscious, depending on what we put in our subconscious. So there's levels to this. I'm sorry if that was kind of convoluted, but there are levels to this, but I really want you to get into your head that it's not coming from you. You are a funnel for the information that is in the divine plane. You have access to the divine plane, but what you're getting from the divine plane is literally going to be depending on what order you have put in there with your subconscious thoughts that have been implanted, by your conscious thoughts. You see this in the Bible in multiple verses. The Holy Spirit is within us. You can also see this in the Kabbalion, the Hermetic philosophies, the all is mind and the universe is mental, and as above, so below, as within, so without. It is all just a very intricate system that's been laid out extremely intelligently by infinite intelligence for the expansion of our souls. And we end up trapped in fear and suffering when we place far too much importance on our own conscious thoughts and our own conscious actions, because those are always going to be limited in nature, whereas God is unlimited. And when you're using yourself and your own conscious thinking as your source, you are always going to get a limited experience. You are always going to shoot yourself in the foot and cap what you can have in this life. But when you know God is your supply, that will allow you to get out of the way, because that's really all that's happening. When you're feeding into your physical reality with your conscious thoughts, with your worries, with your controlling, with your predicting, with your animal mind, whose only job is to protect your physical survival in this physical reality, you are always going to have a limited result. But when you can trust in the divine and the fact that everything you want already exists, and you can let go of fear and doubt and insecurity, that is when those things will come into your life in the most miraculous way, and in a way that your conscious mind never would have been able to plan or figure out, because it is not a logical thing. It's spiritual, and it is not on your animal brain to figure out how you're going to get to your desired dream life. If your animal brain is trying to figure it out, then it's going to not be the right divine path. And I need you to really start to understand that, because that is how you start to live a life paved with miracles, when you start getting out of the way, okay? So your conscious mind's job is not to figure everything out. In fact, when you keep trying to consciously figure things out, you're getting in your own way, and you're getting in the way of divine knowledge and intuition coming in and guiding the path for you through your subconscious, okay? But it is the job of the conscious mind to impress ideas upon the subconscious that can be cast up to the superconscious, and then intuition and everything is brought back down, okay? So how are ideas impressed upon the subconscious mind? Not all information is created equal. Not everything that you consciously think about is going to end up in your subconscious mind, because that would be crazy. And this would be a crazy world. If you were thinking about pink giraffes one time, how crazy would it be to see pink giraffes running around? That would be insane. So the only information that is really important for the purposes of imprinting upon your subconscious mind is information that you buy into with your emotions, right? And that you feel internally to a level of internal knowing. When you really truly understand and believe in something to the point that you have that internal knowing, that feeling within you, that is when that information is impressed upon your subconscious mind. Not when you're saying an affirmation and saying, I'm so rich, and you're thinking about how not rich you are. That doesn't work. It is when you are clearly seeing something, clearly imagining or clearly seeing something, and strongly feeling an inner knowing about that thing. That's when that information will get conveyed to your subconscious. When you have that feeling of knowing, when it feels like a truth, that's when it gets into your subconscious mind. So this is really important to know, because there's no use doing affirmations and all of these other things unless they're helping you to gather that feeling of an internal knowing. And that's the goal with all those exercises. So those exercises have their place, but you have to know the actual threshold to get into your subconscious mind. I want you to think of it like a meter. So the more you just know something, and you know it to be true for you, and you believe it and you feel it, right? In your heart, you feel, I know this is true.
Yes.
It will override. Let's say, for example, you've got a belief of lack. You don't need to actually completely wipe out the old belief. You can. That's part of a rewiring process. And if you want more on that, by the way, you can join my private community. I do step-by-step exercises to guide you through that process. You can go through and instill doubt into whatever you think you might have a knowing about in your subconscious that isn't serving you, which might take the legs and the emotional sting out of something. But more powerful than that is to bring in an opposing belief. So let's say you've been believing in lack and you want to believe in abundance. You bring in an opposing belief and you generate a feeling of inner knowing towards that new opposing belief, to the point that it overrides the old belief. And that is when the old belief will just fall away and cease to exist.
That's how the
you
law
don't have
of
to
attraction
keep focusing
comes to me.
on the old belief. And even in my community, I do an exercise where we rewire beliefs. So the first part is to identify, the second part is to understand, the third part is to release, and then the fourth part is to overcome. I would even suggest just focusing on that one time. If you can identify, okay, I obviously have a belief of lack, I understand where it's coming from. I release it because now I know that this, and this isn't true for me anymore. And then I'm going to overcome it with this new belief. The overcoming step is the most important step. The other ones can just help a little bit because they almost just take the strength out of the old belief. So you don't have that knowing towards it as much as you used to. But the most important part is the overcoming part. So if you can 100% buy into a new belief that goes against your old belief will fall away. It can be very helpful to pick a new belief that you actually can believe in. In fact, if you can't find yourself being able to believe in this thing that you want to believe in, it's not going to work and you're better off aiming lower for now. It's kind of like contrary advice to what other people might give you. But if there's no way in hell that you are going to be able to believe in something even though you want it, then choose something that's kind of a lower hanging fruit that you actually can buy into. So for example, instead of having a belief that I am so bad at interviews, I fail at every interview I do, instead of you trying to go from I fail at every interview I do and I'm terrible at interviews to I am absolutely incredible at interviews, I succeed in every interview that I do. If that is too difficult for you to believe right now, you want to find something that you can believe in. So an example in this situation would be I am more comfortable in interviews than I ever have been before. Do you see how that feels better? It feels more empowering and it feels like you can believe in that. So rather than saying I'm a massive success and I get a call back for every interview I do, because it's so polar opposite to what you've experienced before, you want to get something that is a stepping stone, okay? And that will make this process much easier for you. And then once you really do buy into the fact that you are more comfortable in interviews, that you do feel more at ease expressing yourself, then you can take the next step, which is like, I succeed in every interview that I do, okay? You can build and build on this. Yep. So whether you're doing scripting, whether you are doing vision boards, affirmations, visualizing, whatever you're doing, it's very important that you pay attention to how you're feeling. How you're feeling is what is actually bringing that information into your subconscious and determining whether it actually gets across the threshold to be implanted in there. If you don't feel strongly about it at the level of knowing that it's true for you now, it's not going to get in there.
I believe
a kind of
this to
side
be
exercise that you can do, for example, if you're trying to build up that belief that you're more comfortable, you want to start gathering evidence for that. If you're still finding it difficult to even feel that at a level of knowing, you want to literally write down evidence and reasons why it's true now. And when you're writing them, you want to really feel that knowing. Keep gathering evidence, gather examples, situations, even physically go out into the world and show yourself that you've been good at this, and this, and that can translate into this thing that you're now writing down. You want to get a solid bank of evidence for your new belief that's going to help you cultivate that feeling of inner knowing for this new belief. And then after you've done that, it's usually a better time to go and write like a short snippet to reaffirm that to yourself, and also to go and visualize yourself in that new experience. But there is something I want to tell you before we get into visualizing and everything like that, and that is that your brain waves matter. When you are in beta brainwave state and you are in your conscious, awake thinking state, where you may be in high stress, you may be trying to control and force and predict, your subconscious mind is so much less permeable than when you are in alpha or theta state, when your brainwaves have slowed down. That's why you'll see a lot of sleep subliminals. That's why you'll see teachers like Neville Goddard speaking about imagining the wish fulfilled as you fall asleep and saying it in the morning when you wake up, because when you fall asleep and when you wake up and when you're asleep, your brainwaves have slowed down and they're in alpha and theta brain states. You can also access these states when you are in meditation. You can access these states through breath work, through slowing down your breathing, and through coming into the present moment. And so you know when you've reached alpha or theta, when you're finally releasing your attachment to your incessant thinking. So as part of this practice of getting things into your subconscious mind, it's just as important to identify your old belief and affirm your new belief as it is to actually become very aware of what state you're in, okay? So if you are constantly in your conscious mind and your thoughts are yapping at you all day and you can't release your attachment to those thoughts, you are going to find it much harder to sink into a theta or alpha state where you're detached from your thinking. And if you can't get into that state, I'm sorry to say it, but you will find it almost impossible to get that information into your subconscious mind. So that's why teachers like Joe Dispenza, their meditations are very powerful and very effective, because he brings your awareness into your body in space, and that slows down your brain waves. When your consciousness flows from your survival, your conscious thoughts into your subconscious mind, that is when it is the perfect time to introduce new ideas, because those actually will get implanted. It's like you've lowered the barrier of all your monkey mind thoughts, chatter, all of that is just gone. And then when you bring in an idea, you can just go boop, and it's in there. And it's not as difficult, obviously, as it would be when your conscious mind is telling you why something's impossible, why it won't work, yada, yada, yada. So very importantly, the most important thing you could do if you want to reprogram your subconscious mind is to do the meditation that's linked in this description, or any meditation practice that allows you to regulate your breathing, calm down, come into your body, detach from your thoughts. And as soon as you feel yourself kind of let go of your attachment to your thoughts and just come into the present moment, you know in that moment your brain waves have slowed down. And that is the perfect time to visualize whatever experience you want to experience, whatever idea you want to imprint into your subconscious mind. You want to visualize yourself having experienced that, okay? You want to act it out as if you're living it right in that moment and feel what it feels like as if it's already done. And that is the most powerful reprogramming technique I could ever give you. It's the one that's changed my life the most, more than anything. And it makes just the most sense based on everything we've spoken about. You want to feel what it feels like to be in that reality when you're already in a very relaxed and detached from your conscious thinking state. Let yourself sink into those feelings as if they're real. And when it begins to feel forced, when you begin to overthink it, you know that you are beginning to leave that state, and it's fine then to finish the practice there because it's not going to be effective anymore. So it shouldn't feel forced.
She's explaining it
and
so
the way
nicely.
that you can get it to not feel forced is by prioritizing meditation and detaching from your conscious mind consistently, from your thoughts consistently. So you can do this practice once, you can
I need
feel
to
the feeling
meditate much
strongly
more.
once, and that can be enough, or you can do it multiple times. You can repeat it and increase your emotional investment into this new belief and this new experience, and then it will override the old one. So that's where repetition comes in. Repetition is useless unless it is being used to strengthen your emotional conviction in something. Then it is actually useful. This is why when people start to meditate, they begin to just transform every area of their lives, because they begin to realize that the way they've been consciously thinking about things does not have to be the way that it is. Your thoughts, your conscious thoughts, don't actually need to continue to be reality for you. And there's another way to think about this. Your conscious mind is your masculine and your subconscious mind is your feminine. And until you balance both of those elements of you and you harness the power of both of them, you will never be the most powerful creator that you can be, because creation comes from balancing your masculine and feminine poles physically, mentally, and spiritually. That is when you become your most powerful and creative being, the version of yourself, right? And so when you're constantly in your conscious, reasoning, survival, logic brain, you are overly attached to that masculine energy and you're not allowing yourself to receive. You're not allowing yourself to receive intuition, to receive from God. You're standing right in the way of your creation by being overly attached to your thinking. You don't create anything. I'm going to say it again. You don't create anything. It already exists, and you trying incessantly to control and create is just slowing you down. So if you've never meditated before, the most difficult thing in the world is beginning to meditate, because you're teaching yourself to let go of your conscious thoughts, your thoughts running around in your head all the time. And when you do that, you're going to feel scared. There's going to be a high level of fear, because that is basically what we've attached to our survival in this physical world. So we think, oh my God, we're going to not be safe if we let go of our thoughts, right? But what happens is when you finally let go of that conscious thought pattern and you just sink into the unknown, you are relishing in your feminine creative energy, and you are letting go of all the lack and limitation of your conscious mind in the physical world. And from there, you can really create something powerful. You can really implant an idea that has no limits, and your subconscious does not discriminate. If you accept something internally as a truth, your subconscious mind will accept it. It will just take it on as a truth. No matter how strange it is, no matter how grand it is, it will take it on as a truth. The only limits that are created are the limits that are within your human, animal, conscious mind. You're the one creating them consciously. But your subconscious doesn't care about the limits. It will just take what you give it. And then it will get to work calling upon the infinite intelligence and everything available to it to birth that into your reality. It will give you intuition. It will spur you into aligned action, and it will basically empower you to show up as the version of you who has that thing now that you've implanted that idea in there. You see this in the Bible. You see this in all the religious texts. Ask and you shall receive, Matthew 7:7. We can literally demand with our being. When we know something on an internal level, we can make a demand and we can ask for something. And God is always ready to give to us our deepest desires. Our wishes are ready to be fulfilled at all times. The only thing that actually stops us from realizing those desires and allowing those desires into our lives is our fear, doubt, insecurity. And that's all coming from our animal brain and the limitation that we're seeing consciously all around us and accepting as a truth. So we just need to get out of the way. Our conscious thoughts need to get out of the way, and we need to begin to trust. I love this quote from The Game of Life and How to Play It. The goal of this game of life is to see your good and destroy all mental pictures of evil by continuously impressing the subconscious with a realization of good. So when you catch yourself worrying and feeding into the limitation and the lack and the doubt and the fear, you must begin to catch yourself and ask yourself, why am I worrying when it's probably never going to happen? This is not my burden to carry, okay? Because the thing is, that is the truth. Anytime we go down a route of doubt and worry and insecurity and fear, when have you ever looked back at a time in your life when you felt all those doubts and all those fears and thought, thank God I was so scared. Oh, thankfully I was so fearful and so full of doubt. Never. Never. It never ever works out that way. And if your worries ever do come true, they only ever were brought into being because you kept focusing on them. You created them by worrying on them, okay? So all of this worry and this doubt and this fear, it's completely unnecessary. And I want to just give you one last kind of mental tool to use as you're trying to go about shifting your reality and feeling better and embodying more of what you desire. And that is the principle of casting your burden. So I know it sounds very easy in theory for me to say, well, just don't worry, be happy. Like, okay, sure. But it is a practice. It's a practice of interrupting when, first of all, noticing when you're taking on a burden of worry, a burden of lack, a burden of limitation. You have to start to notice and identify when you do that and realize that that is not going to serve you. No amount of worrying, no amount of doubting, no amount of fear is going to get you where you need to go. It's not going to save you from anything, and it's not going to get you on the path that you want to be on. So you have to start letting it go. It is not necessary. And the way that you can do this, when you look at the Bible especially, it talks a lot about the Lord is our salvation, and it is God's job to take on our burdens. It is not the job of man. So we must cast our burdens to God, to the infinite intelligence. When you feel yourself trying to analyze and control and live in fear and predict and doubt, that is actually you, according to the Bible. That's you violating spiritual law when you're consciously taking these things on and constantly thinking about them. It's not your job. You can cast that to the God superconscious mind within you. You can cast it to the Christ within you, and you can say, I am free now to go forth and have plenty. I am free now to go forth and have success. I'm free now to go forth and have joy. You have the power to do that. And you should do that, because the only thing getting in the way of you actually fulfilling your desires and receiving those desires is your worry, your doubt, and your fear. When you walk up to the thing that you think you fear and you exercise sheer faith that it's going to be okay, I believe in all of this. Ceases to exist. Your fear is what creates the thing. Without it, it doesn't exist. So just know that you have so much power. You're an expression of the divine. But your ego and your conscious mind is going to try to limit you at every turn unless you start to interrupt it and cast those burdens of worry and let them go and allow good to come into your life. Get out of this masculine energy of trying to do and be and have, and allow yourself to just receive. Right now, wherever you're standing right now in your life, there are infinite possibilities. There are a million different paths for what you can experience next. But your ego and your limited conscious mind will have you thinking that there's only one way, and that is not the truth. So you have to start letting go of that. The only thing really that can bring in more good and your dreams and your desires is God, is the God within you, is your superconscious mind. So you have to allow that to come to work by getting your conscious ego mind out of the way and having faith that everything good that's ever happened to you has come from God, and everything good that's going to happen is also going to come from God. And with God as your supply, you don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to worry. You can trust that what is right is going to come to you at the right time and in the right way. When you act like this and move forward like this in your life also, it's going to reprogram your subconscious, because you're going to feel more relaxed and you're not going to keep focusing on the limits and the worries and the fears of the world. So what you're focusing on changes, and because you're now focusing on possibility over limitation, you're programming your subconscious to be open to more possibilities rather than just one limited version of things, which means you're open to receiving more from the divine. So that's all I'm going to go into today, guys. I'm going to leave it there because that was a lot of information. There's probably going to be many more videos I make on the subconscious mind. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated, please leave a comment down below, a like, let me know. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. And also, if you didn't know, I have a private community hosted on School where I'm running meditations, workshops, different exercises, and all that good stuff, as well as a like-minded community where you can connect and grow with people on the same journey. Also, the link for private one-to-one coaching with me is down below. This is for people who are looking to make the shift to their desired reality and are ready to take the next steps and do the work to do so. You can find all the links down below. I hope this video helped. I love you guys, and I will see you all in the next video.
Good, good, good. So I like the whole collective kind of deal with the God within. And I'm jelly about Christians being able to just call it, you know, being able to quote Bible verses and stuff. Because I can't like agree to whatever idea the several religions have of what God is. I just admit that there is something, but I don't want to give it a name or anything. Because we probably just cannot comprehend. But like the divine, whatever, connection that we have, that is the deal, the real deal. Oh my god, it's 70 something videos. When are we gonna watch all of this?
Hello my darlings, and welcome to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about the one thing that you need to do if you want to heal. And of course, there are a lot of facets to healing, but this is one of the most important things to do if you actually want to heal. And this goes for the beginning of a healing journey, and this also goes for throughout the healing journey, something that's important to remember if you want to keep healing. And here it is. The most important thing to actually healing is putting yourself first. And there's a few reasons for this. The first reason is that you are the only person that will ever know you like you do. You are the only person that you will spend every single moment of your entire life with. You are the only person who knows all of the thoughts that go through your mind, all of the emotions that you feel. You are the only person who experiences your version of reality. And therefore, it is so important to heal yourself and to prioritize yourself, because you are the only person that will ever understand you like you do. And you might be wondering, well, okay, but why does that even matter? Well, it matters because if you want to heal yourself, you have to be able to understand yourself and be able to listen to yourself and tune in with yourself. True. Because you are the only person that will know you to the depths that you will, you're the only person who can actually understand what's going on in your body or your mind. And you're the only person who can actually know how something is working or how good something feels. A lot of us nowadays rely on other people to a somewhat unhealthy level, in that we expect other people to provide our happiness or to tell us what to do or to give us advice or guidance. But you are your best guidance because you are the only person that understands your experience and your life like you do. And that brings us to our next point, which is that when you prioritize yourself, when you put yourself first, you will naturally be able to see more clearly what is meant for you and what is not. You will naturally be able to understand what direction to go in. You will naturally have clarity around the things you actually want to do versus the things that you don't. For instance, when I first started my healing journey about 9 years ago, I think, I started really putting myself first. And through doing that, I realized that I didn't like partying every weekend. I didn't like going to bars and getting wasted every weekend when I was a freshman in college. I didn't like feeling hungover and wasted, not remembering what happened. But had I not put myself first, I might not have realized that, because really, I was just going along with the pack. I was just going to school and doing what society expected of me and what other people expected of me. And I was just doing basically what my friends were doing so that I could fit in. And it was only when I started to prioritize myself and discover the things I truly wanted to do and the things that I truly liked, that was when I actually started to heal. Because I was no longer just doing things because that was what was expected. And so when you prioritize yourself, you're naturally going to gain more clarity, because you'll actually start to realize what feels good to you and not just the things that you should do in order to be liked or in order to fit in. Because when you start to put yourself first, you actually won't care if the things that you like aren't cool or popular. You won't care if your friends are off doing something that makes you feel bad, because you'll be taking care of yourself. You'll be putting yourself first, and you'll be finding what actually matters to you. You'll discover what your true values are, because you won't be placing importance on the opinions and the beliefs of others anymore. And our final point today is that when you put yourself first, you are doing a service to the world. I know that it might not sound like that, because you might think, oh, putting yourself probably means cutting people off in line and neglecting your responsibilities and neglecting the things you need to do. But that's not true. That's not what this is about. When you put yourself first, you become a better person. You become a better citizen of this world and a better friend. Because when you know how to meet your own needs, you won't be relying on other people to make you happy, and you won't be taking out your pain onto other people. You won't be trying to find solutions outside of yourself, because you'll know how to manage them and to take care of what needs to be done within yourself. When you put yourself first, you become a better person because you have more to give. you will already have your needs met. You will already know what needs to be done to feel good and to feel healthy and happy. And that will help you to be able to overflow into everyone around you, to be able to overflow into your family and into your community and into your work. But that's much harder from a place of not understanding oneself or a place of self-neglect. When you put yourself first, you will have more wisdom to share with the world. And this might feel a little challenging or scary at first, because when we start to put ourselves first, other people that were expecting us to act or show up in a certain way that was benefiting them or that they expect of us, that might be different now. And that's fine. It doesn't mean you have to go back to people pleasing and to putting others' needs before you. As long as you're taking care of the things that need to be taken care of with your job or with your family, you should be putting yourself first. And yes, it can be scary because maybe people will react in a way that doesn't feel great. But ultimately, this is the most rewarding thing you can do. Embarking on the healing journey to heal your mind and your past trauma and the things that agitate your soul, and healing so that you can feel your best physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It is the most rewarding thing that you can do. And this is truly the first step, because if you are always trying to just please other people and put their needs and desires and ideas of how you should live before your own, then you won't get very far, because you won't be able to hear all those little things that your soul is telling you. You won't be able to understand which direction you should truly go if you're only listening to what other people want of you and what they expect. And again, I just want to say, this is not selfish. You are a better contribution to the world when you are happy, when you are healthy, when you are taken care of. And you are the best person to take care of yourself. You are the best person to meet your needs. And of course, there's exceptions, but most people have that ability and are not using it. Our world will look so much brighter and healthier if we can learn how to listen to what our own body, mind, and soul are saying to us. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope it was helpful. Stay tuned for more topics like this, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!
The sun is bright. All is well. You smell that? Of course you don't. I am Ray, and today we are going to expose my top 10 spiritual mistakes. And if you make fun of me, I will not hesitate. So be nice. 4 categories. The fool, the pulpy, the poser, and the noob. Being pulpy is an inside joke from one of my last videos. You want to be juicy, you don't want to be pulpy. Make sense? My first spiritual mistake. I need to think more about the logistics of There we go. My first mistake. Not going all in sooner. You see, long ago, in a faraway land called California, my life wasn't working out. I mean, I was doing normal people things, but my dreams, they were not mine yet. I was failing at life. But the thing was, I was on a bit of a self-improvement journey. I was trying, at least. Trying to do good, trying to do the right things, but to no avail. Just suffering. I was caught in this middle way between trying to live my life out in the world and trying to be spiritual. Or at the very least, trying to be free from suffering. Trying to get closer to God. And one day I was lying on my bed. And I was mad because I wasn't getting what I wanted out of life. I had this idea in my mind that I had to give up my desires, because that is what the spiritual people say. And so I was trying to do that. First mistake. And so I was frustrated that I wasn't getting what I wanted in the world, but I hadn't made enough spiritual progress to experience any peace, any joy, any relief at all. And I was caught in this place that I call purgatory. Not a nice place. It's like being stuck in between worlds. And it sucked. And I did not like it. But I thought, this too shall pass. Let me keep having trust and faith that things will work out. And so I continued. Instead of returning to the world and just trying to get what I wanted, I doubled down on the spiritual path. And I even had a dream around the same time. Now, the framework from which my spiritual awakening came from is a philosophy called Advaita Vedanta. It's called non-duality. And I had a dream, and there was a message in the dream. I remember, I think there was some kind of river or something. And the dream said, see where this path takes you. See where it ends up. Follow the Advaita Vedanta river and see where you end up. And so I went all in, day after day, just continued to surrender. Being aware of the attachments, being triggered by life, being frustrated and annoyed, and then just letting go, working through it, just being, continuing to remember my true place as the awareness behind all the experiences, which is what Advaita Vedanta teaches you. You are not your experiences, you are the one who observes your experiences. And most human beings, we live in this illusion because we identify with our experiences. So think about it. When you observe something, whatever it is you observe cannot be you. I'm observing this coffee. It's not me, I don't think. At least not for this exercise. So I know that I am separated from this coffee. I know that I am separated from little Bodhi. I may even know that I am separated from my own thoughts. And once you become aware of this observing place, who is the one who observes? Answer me this. Once you see, you cannot unsee. You realize your true nature as the awareness, and you continue to just rest in this observing space. And what happened to me was that more and more attachments began just falling away. I became lighter and lighter and lighter and continue to get more light because I'm no longer identifying with my thoughts. I'm no longer feeding them. I'm no longer feeding the ego. Doesn't mean I still don't have an ego. There's still identity. It's just I'm not under the illusion that that is me. And once I went all in, eventually I found gold. Keep digging, keep digging, keep digging. And eventually you tap into an eternal wellspring, that which Jesus talked about. He said, when you drink from the water of the world, you will thirst again. But when you drink of the water that I give you, you shall never thirst. What does this mean? It means you will have eternal satisfaction, eternal relief from suffering, everlasting peace, and you will experience joy and love as your default state. The only thing that keeps us from this is our identification with our ego, with our thoughts. The light of awareness shines forth through us, but we have all kinds of thoughts getting in the way. And this creates a dark cloud that blocks out the light and the warmth of the sun, your natural radiance, your natural being. No, I dropped the text. Imagine a mirror, for instance. Most people's mirror is covered up with all kinds of dirt. So they're always looking in the mirror, but it's distorted. It's not accurate. And eventually they begin believing that this distorted view of themselves is who they actually are. And it's not. That distorted image is what ego is. It's a construct of memory, of thoughts, of all these different attachments, these beliefs, these stories. But as you stop feeding these things, as you stop feeding the mind stuff, you begin polishing the mirror and the reflection becomes clear. The light of God can shine forth through you without effort. And the light of God, its very nature, its very radiance, is peace, love, and joy. So it is nothing other than our identification with ego that separates us from our natural state of being. And on the spiritual path, we approach a moment in which we have to decide, but all my ego desires, my dream life, all these things I want, I have to give this up? What are you saying to me? There's a price to be paid for the spiritual path, my friend. And the ego will say, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Don't. What if we don't get what we want? But let me tell you the price, my friend. The true price of spirituality. This is not foolish. There's just no more space. You give up nothing to receive everything. What do I mean? Is that all of your ego desires are not real. They're just thoughts. Where are your desires now? Search for them, please. They're not here. Because they're just a thought that get triggered whenever something reminds you of them. It's memory. What I realized is that I was attached to my thoughts. I was attached to my identity of what I wanted out of life. And it wasn't real. I thought I had to give up something, but I don't. None of us do. You give up your thoughts. You give up the fantasy. You give up the illusion. And the illusion, by definition, doesn't exist. It's not real. But when we are operating from the ego, when we're living in illusion, that is the only thing that seems real. And I knew that after I went all in on the spiritual path, I could return to the earth and still receive all of my desires. But I had to get rid of my attachments to them. I had to stop holding on. You can't be in two worlds at the same time. And that's wrong. That's foolish. Don't listen to me. There's a reason that Christ said, seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be added onto you. Because the nature of this world is dust. It's changing. Everything returns to dust. So don't worry about going and getting bigger piles of dust. Because it doesn't matter how big of a pile you get, it's still nothing. But when you seek and find the source of all that is, when you find God, you get everything. And even if you have nothing of the world, it doesn't matter, because you have everything you need. That doesn't mean you can't go out and still get the things of the world. It just means that you're not attached to them. And even better, all the things you desire come to you far more easily. Whereas most people, what are they doing? They're going on a never-ending struggle, hamster wheel, rat race, to try and get what they want, to get a better position in life, to get a better house. So don't allow the ego, don't allow the monster mind to prevent you from your spiritual riches that are awaiting you now. Because the monster mind is the force of resistance that doesn't want you to be free. It doesn't want you to be awakened, because the moment you awaken, you're no longer under its grip. What is the monster mind, you may ask? It's just the negative aspects of our mind. You could say it's the negative aspect of reality. The Lord of illusion that attempts to keep people stuck, to use them like batteries in the Matrix. Once you wake up to your power, you're not going to give it away. And you realize that no authority of this earth or any realm has any power over you whatsoever. But so long as you're stuck in the illusion, this cannot happen. You will not know your power. So go all in on the spiritual path and discover the true nature of what you are. Polish the mirror. Let go of your ego attachments. Seek and you shall find. Seek freedom. As Ramakrishna once said, one of the most important things for God realization is a strong desire for freedom. You gotta want it, and that's what helped me. My life wasn't going the way I wanted it to, so I didn't have any strong desires to force reality to bend my will. I was closer to giving up than trying, which allowed me to just surrender. But a lot of people, they got a lot invested in this world, so they're not ready to surrender. And so as Jim Carrey said, sometimes you have to get everything you want in life just to realize it was not what you were truly looking for. And that's okay, because eventually you will find your way back home. And so long as you have a strong desire, you are the best candidate for freedom. The fools don't go all in. Don't be a fool. Because the sooner you go all in, the sooner life starts working out for you. Now, the next mistake, not thinking I could think, but more specifically, dogmaticism. Following a certain set of beliefs or ideas too rigidly. So, for instance, in Advaita Vedanta, you are taught to recognize that you are not your thoughts, that you are not your ego, but also think about how certain people think of meditation. They go into meditation and they say, I can't have any thoughts. I got to quiet my mind. It'll be peace. It's not how it works, my friend. You can't just stop all of your thoughts unless you're dead. And if you go into meditation thinking you have to stop all of your thoughts, you're going to get frustrated because it's not going to work. Try it. But it's not the thoughts that are the problem. It's the wrong judgment. It's the wrong belief. Following a certain set of ideas too rigidly and being stuck. And so I got in this mindset of, I can never think. No thoughts. I always have to just be peaceful, be present, return to the observing place, return. And there is wisdom to this. You want to be able to stabilize in your true place as the I am presence, as the awareness. If you don't know what these things are, watch some other videos. And so I was always kind of caught in this state of trying not to think. And I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was on the right path. But the problem is, there was some peace, but I didn't feel any love or joy. I didn't feel alive. And that's what I was missing. I want to feel alive. Peace is great and all, but there must be something amiss. And you see, life will tell you when you're on the right track. Sometimes life falls apart. That's okay. But if you constantly are trying your best, if you think you're doing the right thing, but life isn't going the way you want it to, then you must not be doing the right thing. Reality, life, is mathematical. 1 + 1 = 2. What you input will influence the output. So if you want peace, then you have to input the correct things. If you're not inputting the correct things, you won't get peace, or love, or joy. And so it doesn't matter if you think you're right. The result will tell you that you are right. And that is the trouble with being too rigid about these kind of spiritual ideas. You think you're doing the right thing, but you're not. But life isn't getting any better, and that is frustrating. Not nice. Not good. And the thing that changed everything for me is when I decided to become a rebel, which is my natural nature anyway. My natural nature. Wow. And I realized, and I started thinking, what am I doing here? I have recognized my true place. Why am I trying so hard? What is going on? I don't need to follow this anymore. And it's not that the teaching or the philosophy was bad. It was just, I was getting caught in another ego trap of trying to follow this way of being. As Ram Dass would say, all of these ideas of should and should nots, it's like putting on a tight suit. So you're cramped in it, and it's not nice, it's not comfortable. And then you're wondering, why am I so uncomfortable all the time? Why is life not going well for me? You want to get naked. Which means you throw off the suit, and there's the relief. There was the problem. Living by this long list of rules of should and should nots. I should not think because ego is bad. Thoughts are bad. Thoughts keep me from realizing my true nature. This is not good. It's just a thought. Another thought. We have to understand that the actual highest spiritual teaching is beyond words. It's silence. Trying to not think is not silence. It's trying. Trying to be silent is not silence. The next layer of the onion must be peeled, my friend. And what changed was I started repeating positive affirmations in my mind all the time. And those positive affirmations began evoking feelings of joy and love and happiness. So now I had peace and love and joy. and gratitude and all the good stuff. I felt more alive. This is right. This is where I'm supposed to be. And it wasn't until I broke free from this rigid thinking that I was able to experience that. I broke the rules. And you see, again, as Ram Dass would say, sometimes if you get a thorn stuck in your foot, you gotta take another thorn to get it out. So for instance, positive thinking is a tool to get you to the end result. See, I wanted to deeply connect to the source, to my true nature, to what all the spiritual teachers talk about, to the peace, love, and joy in this present moment. But for whatever reason, my karma, or whatever, was causing me to get stuck in trying too hard. And so when I added positive affirmations into the mix, it created a lot of relief, where now it is much easier to find that silence. Eventually, the positive affirmations will also go, but for the meantime, they are great. It's one of the criticisms I have with the teaching of Advaita Vedanta. Not that it's bad, it's just, it teaches you to recognize your true nature in this moment, which means that anybody can become awakened at any moment. It doesn't take time. The problem is, we have a whole lifetime of conditioning, of mind noise going on, that we do not pay attention to the silence. I mean, think about it in your daily life. There's sounds going on all the time, but you're not aware of the underlying vast ocean of silence that is always present. So too, there are a million different objects in your room, and so you are never focused on the space. Look right now, look at the space. It's everywhere. But because space is nothingness, the mind has no use for it. The mind wants to grasp on things. So too, you can recognize the everlasting silence, the everlasting space within you right now. But if you got so much mind stuff going on, it's hard to see it. So what I would recommend is you focus on the body, do exercise, stretches, breath work. Ground yourself first. And what that does, it takes a lot of your head energy and puts it into your body. So there's not so much nonsense going on. And it becomes easier to recognize your true nature. And that could knock off 10 years of your spiritual journey. Or more. Because a lot of the times, people get too intellectual about things. Oh yes, I know the true nature of what I am. Well, you'll know if you know. If your life tells you. In other words, if you get the result that you seek, then you know you did the right thing. But if you have an understanding and your life's not getting any better, you don't know it. It's just ideas, just thoughts. All spiritual ideas have to be grounded in experience. Because if not, if I tell you that your true nature is God, you'll go around thinking that you're God and acting like it, and people will get annoyed by you because it's annoying. But if you come to true realization, you don't need to tell anybody about it, but you rest in that space. Your presence speaks before you do, my friend. So just remember, it doesn't matter if you think you're doing things right. Life will tell you if you're doing things right. You will see little pieces of evidence, little crumbs. The universe, life, God will throw you a bone every once in a while, just to kind of remember that you're not off track, or to remind you that you're on the right path. And at the same time, if you keep getting smacked in the face, something's trying to wake you up. Wake up. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop going that way. No, no, no. Life, God is speaking to you all the time, every moment, through that which gives you more suffering or that which relieves suffering. So just be careful of being too attached to spiritual ideas. And if an idea is not serving you, get rid of it. Dogma, rigid beliefs, the noob side. You just don't know any better. Now the next one. Is teaching spiritual ideas too soon? Uh-oh. Yes. Luckily nobody really watched my channel for the first year. And the videos were terrible anyway, so good thing. I want to make a point, before we move on, that from the highest perspective, there are no mistakes. I'm just having fun, okay? Give me a break. Because if I hadn't started teaching, I wouldn't be where I was now. But here's the difference. I wasn't teaching to try and help people, to try and teach someone something. My whole mentality the whole time was mastering my craft, mastering the ability to share my ideas, to make them more clear and articulate, learning how to speak on camera. But if I was coming from a strong ego perspective of, this is what I know, and let me teach you because you don't know, then that is very obnoxious. And if people follow you, you're going to lead them astray. Because those who do not know the way cannot show the way. And most of the times what happens is that we gain this spiritual knowledge, where we have some spiritual awakening experiences, but we're not fully established in that wisdom. We put the cart before the horse, and we say, oh, let me write a book. Let me be a spiritual teacher. And that's okay to a degree. It's just, don't get caught in spiritual ego. Especially in the day and age of social media. 30-second video, you get this profound idea. The problem is, there's all this context that support this idea that is left out. Even in an hour-long video, it's hard to truly touch on all the points. And so what happens is that we just take on the spiritual idea and we say, oh, it must be true. You've heard it before from multiple experts. But there's all kinds of other things, other ideas, other pieces of information that are required to fully understand it. And on the internet, that is lost. And what happens is that we become a tree with shallow roots. And when the storms of life come, it's just going to blow us away. When you're suffering, how good is your philosophical ideas? They're worthless. They don't mean anything. But we latch on to certain ideas to give us a false sense of security. If we only have a surface level understanding, they're no good. And you hear this when people talk about spiritual things. Sometimes they say the right things, but you don't feel the power behind their words because they don't actually understand what they're talking about. They're just repeating like a parrot what they've heard. A parrot doesn't understand what it's saying. It's just repeating. Bark, 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 bark. That's a chicken. And that is a lot of the times what people do in the spiritual community. You want to become a spiritual teacher, and it's easy to just parrot what you've heard. And so you kind of repeat cliches and things like that. But if somebody like me were to come and poke you a bit, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You would crumble. You will not survive my swords. So you don't want to embarrass yourself. You want to be established in your understanding. That doesn't mean you don't try and teach, but teach to improve yourself, not to try to help other people. Because to the degree in which you can help other people is determined by the quality of who you are. It's like on Christmas Day, you spend $5 and you give someone a silly sweater. Yeah, it's a cheap sweater. The people, they open up the box and, whoa, oh, this sucks, but I'm not going to tell you that it sucks because it's Christmas. You don't want to give somebody a stupid, crappy gift. You want to give them the best gift. Oh, wow. I'll remember this for the rest of my life. We'll add a bonus mistake to this one, and that is trying to help other people. First of all, don't do it. Wow, controversial. I know. Why should you not do it? Because if you go into a situation with the mentality to try to help somebody, you are automatically and unconsciously projecting onto them that they are a victim. Or more softly, they are in need of help. And you become the helper. What does this do? It raises you up and it puts them down. So the first thing you do when you try to help is the opposite of what you try to do. But that's happening at an unconscious level. You're not paying attention to it. Which is why you see when people try to help somebody else, there's always this resistance. People put their boundaries up because they don't like your projection. They don't want to be a victim. And oftentimes they don't need your help. And you prevent them from being able to help themselves. Because the moment you go away, what are they going to do? My helper, where did they go? An example of how the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Ram Dass once told a story of a woman who loved animals. And one day she was walking on a dirt road. She saw a pile of garbage. And then she heard a noise. The garbage was rustling. What was going on here? She went and observed the garbage. And she found a litter of gerbils. I love gerbils. Yay! I'm going to go take them home and take care of them. And so she started feeding them however she did. But then she ran out of food. And then she thought, how can I help these gerbils even further? I know. I'll give them some water and honey. That should work. So she gave the gerbils some water and honey. And one by one they stood up, freaked out, and died. And each one went into diabetic shock. She murdered the gerbils on accident. She was trying to help them. But she did the opposite of what she was trying to do. Because the energy is off. The energy was wrong. Again, it doesn't matter if you think you're doing the right thing. This is why good intentions are not all that important. Not that they aren't, it's just, what good are your intentions if you do the opposite of what you try to do? They're no good. And so the trick is, to avoid this trap, don't try to be the helper. Don't try to be the teacher. I don't feel like, when I'm making these videos, like I'm trying to teach you something. Let me teach you a lesson. Let me teach you a lesson. A harsh lesson. You're gonna know today. You're gonna find out. No, I'm just here. Say it all the time. Just be. Everything else will take care of itself. Don't be this or be that. Just be here. Allow life to flow and unfold as it does. Because the more you try, the more you're just going to make a mess. Think about it this way. The way you be influences the way you behave. And the way you behave influences what you have. And on the slave side of the equation, what do people do? I want a result. I'm going to try to get that result. I have a problem. I'm going to try to fix that problem. I want to help you, so I'm going to try to help you or teach you or whatever. Sometimes you do it right. Most of the time, you make more of a mess. You try to fix a problem, you create 9 more problems in the meantime. You know you're on this side of the equation when you're frustrated because you tried to do the right thing and life didn't give you what you wanted. Why did it happen? You tried to do the right thing to get something that you wanted, but you didn't address the root of the problem. You. And yet, if you address the root of the problem and don't worry about doing anything and don't worry about having anything, both these things take care of themselves. Again, you want to be the greatest gift. You don't want to go out and try to help people. When you master yourself, you are naturally a help to the world and everybody you meet. You don't have to try to do that. But if you're trying to do that, you're taking your attention away from the one thing that truly matters. So it's a waste of time. It has been said that you're 31% smarter when you're in a positive mood. So focus on that. Because if you try to teach in order to help people, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, but you are not grounded in your teachings, you will only lead people astray. You will not help. And you may be saying all the right words, you may be doing all the right things, but your energy will be off. And that is why people get frustrated, because they will not receive what they desire. And what that means is that you're not seeing reality clearly. You thought reality was one way, but then reality tells you, nope, not that way. And then you have to readjust. And so what happens? When you do your inner healing, when you improve yourself, focus on self-mastery, focus on your state of being, doing things that elevate you, like exercise, like thinking positive. Instead of doing things to get, do things to be. And pay attention to this. Pay attention to your energy throughout the day. You will see things that make you feel worse, and you'll see things that make you feel better. And when you focus on this, you begin feeling your way into a better life, naturally. Because the better feeling version of you behaves in better ways. And so you will get better results. But the negative feeling version of you will behave in negative ways. And sure, you can get some okay results, but it's going to be mixed in with a whole lot of negativity and suffering and struggle. It's not that you can't be successful in life from the slave side. It's just, you're a slave. For example, somebody who wants to be rich. They don't understand their true power. So they just grind and grind and grind and grind. And eventually they find some success. Because over time on the journey, their experiences naturally begin changing who they are. You see a result and you say, oh, I'm this kind of person now. And then you receive more results and you say, oh, I am more this person now. And eventually their identity automatically causes them to receive what they desire. It's not about what they did, it's about who they became. So don't be a slave, just be. Focus on your being. Being joyful, being loving, being peaceful, feeling abundant, feeling gratitude. And remember, you cannot give to others what you do not have. So if you want to actually help people, focus on getting results. I can help you find peace because I am always in peace. I can help you find joy and love because I have found it. Those who know the way can show the way, but those who do not know can only lead you astray. Well, poetry today. So if you're going to teach to improve yourself, and you'll be fine. The poser side. Teaching too soon. The next mistake. Ego inflation and judging others. This has a little bit to do with self-improvement, but people on the spiritual path experience the same thing. For instance, I was trying to better my life, trying to do the right things, trying to live well. And when you see other people not doing that, it makes you frustrated. And you say, what are you doing, loser? Why do you do this? Why not be better? And on the spiritual journey, we come to these big ideas. We know the secrets of the universe. And so we look at other people and say, fools, you know not. And we think we're all that. And the reason that this is a mistake, because it keeps us trapped. It keeps us trapped to our ego, to our judgment. And if you think about it, okay, well, if that person is such a loser for not living the right way, then why are you letting them annoy you? Why are you letting them live rent-free in your mind, even just for a moment? That person is causing you frustration through your own judgment. You're poisoning your mind, my friend. And see, Jesus once said, judge not, lest ye be judged. Because your judgment is a reflection of you. You have this big identity of who you think you are, this big spiritual ego, and you're seeing people who don't have that identity, and you're saying, oh, you're less than me. I'm better than you. I'm spiritual and you're not. You see this with a lot of vegans and vegetarians. Not that it's bad, it's just there's this sense of moral superiority. Oh, you eat meat. You have a graveyard in your stomach. I only eat vegetables. Vegetables is correct. As they say, when you point the finger, you got 3 pointing back at you. So don't do it. Because your judgment blinds you from seeing the truth. Everybody is a reflection of you. You see, everybody can be your teacher. Because when you get triggered by somebody else, they are revealing to you an attachment that is keeping you stuck on your spiritual journey. It's keeping you from spiritual growth. Because what happens is that in the waters of your mind, when you judge another person, they become, what would you say? Your judgment causes ripples in your mind that separates you from peace, love, and joy. Now there's different types of judgment. There's practical judgment, and there's ego judgment. We're talking about ego judgment. The core essence of that is me and you. For instance, I may be attached to my religious beliefs and say, oh, you believe that? Wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. And you see this all the time when people are arguing about religion. It's not about God. It's not about the truth. It's about me. I'm right. You're wrong. The ego is like a 2-year-old. And this is why humility is so important. Because the mind, which creates a sense of individuality, a sense of meanness, it makes you feel superior. But humility is stepping down from your pedestal. And one of the big things I learned is that, well, most people are like children. You may be frustrated by stupid things people do, by their ignorance, but they don't know any better. So when you're on the spiritual path, you become far more aware than the average person. You know more, and you see people living in unconscious ways, ways that hurt themselves, ways that hurt others. And you also believe that they should know better as well. But everybody's going through life at their own pace. You must let them be. Not all fruit on the same tree ripen at the same time. And you, as a more ripe fruit, are judging the unripe fruit and saying, you should be better because I'm better. But that just keeps you trapped. So don't do it. Poser. Hopefully not. The next one. Too much isolation. You see, on the spiritual path, we will naturally isolate ourselves. It's necessary because when we're around other people, they bring us into the world, and the world can be a distraction for a while. So we find silence, quiet, solitude, to connect deeper with God, to discover ourselves. And this is a necessary step, but we can begin making excuses. Like, oh, my friends, I can't go out tonight because I am busy meditating. And we say, oh, because meditating is good, we justify it. It's okay. But the problem is, we can neglect our relationships and justify it. Now, you may come to a point where you no longer relate to the people you used to hang out with. That's a different story. And a lot of the times, our friends fall away. But we must always come back down to balance. Yin energy is going within, isolation. Yang energy is going outside of yourself, being around others. And if we get attached to either side, we create imbalance and problems. So yes, there will be a season of this, but just don't stay there longer than you need to, because your attachment to this energy will stunt your spiritual growth. And you will intuitively know whether or not you may be just spiritual bypassing. But just remember, when you truly see you can be spiritual in the world and you can be spiritual alone. And the thing is, especially when you start meditating a lot, you want to be alone more often, because nothing of the world can really satisfy you the same way. Meditation is the best, because you tap in deeper and deeper into the source of love, peace, and joy. And you can get to a point where you only want to meditate, and that's it. But as some spiritual mystic said, to run away to the mountains, to meditate your days alone. These people do not know the way. And those who dive headfirst into the world and all the worldly pleasures, they do not know the way. But, as Christ said, be in the world, but not of the world. Balance. And don't worry, life will tell you when you're being unbalanced. If you pay attention. If you have ears to hear. Where are your ears? Feel them. Right now. Okay, they're still there. We're all good. Use the people in your life as mirror reflections of you. Everybody has something to teach you. And if you run away, you're running away from your spiritual growth. And it's easy for us, especially with people who aren't on the same path, to say, oh, well, you're not spiritual, so I don't like you anymore. But the people who are most different from you have the most to teach you. And you can see how we get in this trap of spiritual ego, of only wanting the spiritual. And the key is just letting life guide you. Life will tell you when it's time to go out and meet people and be with friends. And life will tell you when it's time to meditate and relax and be alone. You don't need to try and force it. You don't need to try and really want this or that. But life will show you the way, my friend. It's just how well can you listen. Too much isolation. Noob. Now this next one is a bit similar to some ideas we've already discussed. And that is spiritual bypassing. And particularly in my case, it was neglecting emotional intelligence, lacking compassion for others. What do I mean? It's that on the spiritual path, as you go along, you begin to see the perfection in things. You become fearless. You stop worrying. And you no longer feel the need to try and fix this problem or do this or do that. But on this path, sometimes we forget that other people are not living in this world. They're living in the world of survival and fear and worry and concern and always dealing with problems and always struggling. And it's easy to dismiss them and say, oh, well, you're just wrong. You're not living in the truth. But that is a lack of compassion. And so the key is not so much to be stuck in our own world, to be stuck in our own ways, but to begin paying attention to others. Approach them where they're at, because for them, the reality that they're living in, that is the truth. It may not be the ultimate truth, but that's the truth for them. And to deny their truth is not nice. And you'll see if you have this problem. If you get triggered by other people's worry and their concern, because you'll be thinking, you shouldn't worry, you shouldn't be concerned, you shouldn't have this problem, because it's not real. And just because it's not real to you doesn't mean it's not real to them. So you would be denying their truth. So to avoid this trap, pay attention to where you may be attached, to where you may be imbalanced. So a lot of the times, spiritual people are too attached to the spiritual realm and disconnected from the earthly realm. Their heads are too much in the clouds. And if you know your energy is imbalanced in this direction, all you have to do is integrate the opposite energy. Ground yourself into your body. Ground yourself into daily life, where everybody is. The daily struggles, the daily problems. You want to become relatable. Because if you're too much spirit, it's easy to be disconnected, to not be able to understand the problems of these worldly people. And if you can't understand them, you can't help them. It's like you're trying to teach these people how to fly, but they don't have wings. Not yet, at least. So you have to stop flying and put your feet on the ground. You can avoid most, if not all, spiritual bypassing simply by grounding yourself in your body, in the practical day-to-day life. Because spiritual bypassing is being too attached to spirituality, spiritual ideas. But both the spiritual realm and the earthly realm are equally important for balance. So be wary of this. It's a long one. Fools. Spiritual bypassing, specifically for me, lacking empathy and emotional intelligence, not being able to understand where others are coming from, being too stuck in my own world, which leads us perfectly into our next one, being too spiritual, the spiritual ego. Said you'll know if you're in the grip of the spiritual ego when your whole identity is around being spiritual. I mean, when I go to the gym, I don't think anybody looks at me and says, oh, that guy's spiritual. No, it's just, that guy's cool. It's a cool person right there. I don't come to the gym with crystals on my neck, a big crown of whatever, a big staff, magic wand or something like that. And if you get triggered by earthliness, if you're disgusted by people, you're probably being too spiritual. Remember that the most spiritual thing you can do is be human. Spirituality is about wholeness. It's about balance. It's not being attached to spiritual ideas. Poser. Now, the next one is about being impatient, being too attached to outcomes. And so on the spiritual journey, you will see yourself as, oh, I'm a person on the journey trying to get something. I'm trying to get peace, or enlightenment, or awakening, or whatever. And you will elevate this to a high level. And you will say, I need to get this. But then when you don't get that, you will experience frustration and suffering. Like in my earlier story, I didn't get what I wanted from the world, and I didn't get what I wanted from spirituality. I was too attached to outcomes, to desires. And funny enough, the quickest way to get what you want is to surrender your desires, or at least surrender your attachment to them. Just let them go. Learn how to be here now. Because the journey is the destination. The journey is the way. You are already exactly where you need to be. But if you believe that you need to be other than where you are, you're going to experience resistance and suffering. And what happens when we're too attached to the outcome? We're looking at the future. Oh, over there is what I want. When you don't realize that what you want is right here. The X that marks the spot is already underneath your feet. You don't need to go anywhere to get it. You already have it. You cannot get what is already yours. And to think that what you want is outside of yourself, that will stunt your spiritual growth. And the spiritual journey will certainly test your patience, my friend. So the sooner you can just relax, just be, and allow the journey to unfold, you will find great success. But the more you're trying to get something and achieve some ultimate goal, the more you're going to be frustrated, and the longer the journey will take. So just enjoy the journey. You're already where you need to be. Too impatient, too attached to desires. Noob. You just don't know any better. You'll learn. I learned. I didn't know any better. The next one. Too many psychedelics. Psychedelics can be great for your spiritual journey, for spiritual growth, but sometimes you can take too much. You get too attached to chasing spiritual experiences. And you see the problem is on psychedelics, you will receive downloads. You will receive wisdom and information, knowledge. But if you don't act on that knowledge, your life may be worse off than before. Because when you see the truth, but then you don't act on it, then you solidify yourself in lies. That is why they say you always meet the devil at the crossroads. Because the devil gives you a choice. I say Judgment Day is not the day you will come to see the truth, but the day you see the truth is the day in which you will be judged. And so in a psychedelic experience, you see the truth, and then you meet the devil at the crossroads. And the devil says, you can either use this information to grow and become new, allow it to change you, or you can revert back to your old ways. And so sometimes it is better not to know. When you use the knowledge and apply it to your life, it becomes wisdom. But a lot of the times, especially with psychedelics, you can have this crazy experience, but then you come back to the world and you don't know how to process that experience. And you can go mad if you're not careful. I apologize. I'm tired. I don't know why. I'm trying to finish this video. My brain has shut off. Just be careful doing psychedelics. Respect the experience. Respect the mushrooms. And they will respect you. Don't frivolously go on a psychedelic journey, because it can be just as dangerous as it is helpful, depending on how you use it. And the psychedelic gods, they will tell you when you've had enough. I remember one time I was taking this dream psychedelic. I think it was African dream root. And after a certain point, I got a message from the dream gods. And it said, stop coming here. What are you doing? Go away. Stop this madness. Leave us alone, for Christ's sake. Trying to just live here in peace in the dream world, and you're here disturbing us? Who are you even? What are you doing in our home? And so I said, okay, my bad. And so I stopped it. And the thing was, there was not really any reason I was taking the substance in the first place. I was just doing it because it was cool. So when you take psychedelics, have intention. Do it for a reason. Set the intention to heal you, to guide you on your spiritual journey. And most often, things will work out just fine. But if you just spontaneously do the thing without preparation, without respect, without intention, then you're far more likely to have a bad trip that can mess you up. You don't need to be so afraid of having a bad trip because you have the power to make the trip good or bad. Too many psychedelics? Pulpy. Don't be pulpy. And lastly, the last mistake, we've touched upon it a few times, but this was personally for me a difficult one, and that is rejecting the mundane. You see, because in the spiritual world of imagination, it is eternal, it is limitless, it is wonderful. And so the day-to-day monotonous things seem not cool in contrast to that. The spiritual ego, spiritual bypasses, and says, oh, I'm above these things. But the problem is, for instance, if you want to achieve the life of your dreams, it requires doing the same things over and over and over again. So a lot of people who have a lot of potential, they never actualize their potential because they don't take the practical daily steps to achieve the life they desire. They're just floating around in fantasy land. It's called Peter Pan syndrome. You're just in Neverland, ungrounded from the physical world. And so the trick is, realize that, well, not only is this attachment to spirituality preventing your spiritual growth, but if you can embrace the monotony of daily life, the daily tasks, the general things, this is actually the pathway forward. Not only to achieve more spiritual growth, but to achieve the life of your dreams. Because without practical action, nothing can be done. So embrace routine, embrace consistency, embrace discipline. But at the same time, you can also embrace spontaneity to allow life to unfold as it does. It's all about balance. Balance of order and chaos. Chaos being the spontaneous flow of life, and order being routine, duties, responsibilities. And if you can balance these two forces, you will experience the greatest spiritual growth and live a life of great harmony. Rejecting the mundane. It's a noob thing. So don't be the fool. Don't be pulpy. Don't be a poser, man. And it's okay to be a noob. We all start somewhere. I am Ray. Visit my cool store. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, dogs. Not dogs. Bee. Maybe those dogs got stung by a bee. You never know.
Vor ein paar Monaten habe ich ein sehr erfolgreiches Video gemacht, hier an diesem Fluss in Bayern, warum ich meine Arztkarriere sausen ließ. Und hier ist Teil 2 mit der Frage, welche Punkte du nicht glauben würdest oder die Menschen, die nicht im Medizinsystem arbeiten, erstmal nicht annehmen würden. Vielleicht 4 überraschende Punkte könnte man sagen. Einsichten aus dem Gesundheitssystem. Fangen wir einfach mal mit der ersten Einsicht an. Das Medizinsystem steht vor einer unlösbaren Aufgabe und einem Kollaps, weil die Menschlichkeit fehlt. Und das bahnt sich schon seit vielen Jahren an. Und da wird sehr viel versucht, über Reformen zu machen, aber die wahren Ursachen werden nicht geändert. Die sind zweierlei. Nämlich die Art, wie im Medizinsektor Geld gemacht wird. Ja? Also in kurz gesagt gibt es ja diesen Spruch, also hält der Arzt, auf das er lebe, den Patienten in der Schwebe zwischen Leben und Tod, so in die Richtung geht dieser Spruch. Und er besagt eben, dass die Anreize, Menschen zu heilen und menschlich zu begleiten, immer wilderen Auflagen und immer wilderen Kriterien weicht. Und das eigentlich Schöne an dem Arztberuf ist nämlich ja, Menschen zu helfen. Und das erleben alle Berufsgruppen, also von der Pflege bis in die Ärzteschaft hinein, erleben wir also alle und leiden darunter sehr, und es wird wenig gemacht. Dazu kommt, dass unser Medizinsystem einfach, man muss es einfach so sagen, es ist sehr beeinflusst, wenn nicht gerade geentert, von Juristen und Lobbyisten, also von Pharmaindustrie und von Juristen, so Menschen, die sich mit Gesetzesdingen auskennen. Und das führt also zu so einer Entfremdung unserer Arbeit vom Patienten, eine hohe Dokumentationspflicht und so. Ich habe es nicht glauben können, aber ich habe ja in einem Krankenhaus in Berlin mein Tertial in der inneren Medizin gemacht und habe es nicht glauben können, dass wir pro Patient, ich habe es nämlich gemessen mit einer Stoppuhr, dass wir pro Patient maximal 2 bis 3 Minuten bei einem Patienten waren am Tag, obwohl wir uns den ganzen Tag mit den Patienten dann auch auf Station beschäftigt haben. Also hinter den Stationstüren wurde wirklich aufrichtige und gute Arbeit gemacht. Aber was denkt ihr, wie gut eine Behandlung ist, wenn ich dich 2 Minuten sehe? Wenn du kommst mit Nierenversagen, als ältere Person, vielleicht völlig aufgelöst und der Arzt, der alle Entscheidungen trifft, sieht dich 2 Minuten. Und selbst das Erstgespräch ist nicht viel länger. Da passiert richtig, da kann man keine gute Medizin, also keine menschliche Medizin machen. Gut, unter technischen Gesichtspunkten vielleicht, aber führt zu sehr schwierigen Konsequenzen. Ich will sie nicht ausmalen, um den Berufsstand natürlich nicht irgendwie in Misskredit zu ziehen. Es ist aber die Realität. Also es ist der Grund, warum ich nicht ins Krankenhaus gegangen bin. Weil die Medizin wie auf so einer Rutschbahn in den Kollaps geht. Das ist zumindest meine Meinung. Und Pflegekräfte werden mir dann noch früher zustimmen als Ärzte. Ich glaube, das trifft die Pflege sehr, sehr hart, dieser Ökonomisierungszwang. Also ich habe sehr viele Pflegekräfte, die Patienten sind. Ich kenne natürlich auch sehr viele Ärzte, die nicht mehr im konventionellen Betrieb weitermachen können. Zahnärzte haben es auch sehr, sehr schwer, wenn sie gute Arbeit machen wollen. Ja, also das ist das Erste. Ich kann es aus dem System sagen. Das wird von Zeitperiode zu Zeitperiode krasser. Und ist auch mal wichtig zu wissen. Ja? Also das heißt, das Medizinsystem, der Kollaps ist schon zu sehen, wie der aussieht. Also offensichtlich sind ja die Akteure, also wir Ärzte und wir Pflegekräfte, sind ja sehr leidensfähig irgendwie so, aber das ist alles abzusehen. So ein bisschen wie der Zusammenbruch des Finanzsystems ja auch abzusehen ist. Ne? Es gibt keine endlose Zinseszinspolitik in der Geschichte der Welt. Gibt es nicht, hat es nie gegeben. Nicht umsonst ist in den großen Weltreligionen der Zins abgelehnt. Und nun haben wir ein wahnsinniges Zinseszinssystem und alle 60 Jahre gibt es dann irgendwie so eine finanzielle Neuorientierung oder ein riesengroßer Krieg oder so. Ich glaube, das hängt ja zusammen. Ich weiß es nicht genau. Ich bin weder Wissenschaftler noch Finanzexperte, aber das ist so meine Mutmaßung. Ich glaube, in die Richtung geht es. Ich glaube, dass Kunstwährungen, also so, das ist übrigens auch in Rom passiert. Ne? Also nicht wundern, auf die Idee, Geld zu entwerten und damit auf kurze Zeit einen Reibach zu machen. Da kamen sogar schon römische Imperatoren drauf und hat den Zerfall des Römischen Reiches nur beschleunigt. Das hat man damals über Kopierung gemacht, über die Entfernung von den Rändern von Silbermünzen und hat aus diesen Rändern neue Silbermünzen geschmiedet und das hat einfach nicht gut funktioniert. Will ich nur sagen. Also, und so ein Kollaps steht uns auch im Medizinsystem bevor. Die Richtung, die wir einschlagen, ist undenkbar. So. Am Ende des Videos sage ich auch gerne noch meine 4 Strategien, wie wir das ändern können. Ja, das ist also erstmal eine Sache, die ist ein Fakt. Ja? Ich war auch neulich in Hamburg. Servus. Ich war auch neulich in Hamburg bei einem Zeitgesundheitskongress, also der Zeitschrift Zeit. Und da gab es nur heiße Luft. Und da habe ich auch gesehen, okay, wir sind komplett gelähmt. Die Akteure können sich nicht, die Not ist nicht groß genug, um unser System zu verändern. Übrigens bin ich hier gerade bei einer Medizinerakademie in Bayern, auf der meine Frau teilnimmt und auf der ich vor 10 Jahren teilgenommen habe. Und da geht es darum, und trotzdem sind diese Versuche, Menschlichkeit in die Medizin hineinzubringen, ausgesprochen schwer. Ja, kann man einfach mal so festhalten. Wenn dich übrigens eine Alternative interessiert, guck gerne mal unten in die Videobeschreibung. Ich habe mir zur Aufgabe gemacht, Menschen aus dem Medizinberuf und auch Quereinsteigern da eine Alternative zu bieten, die Freude wieder am Beruf macht. Ja, zweiter Punkt. Zweiter Punkt ist der gute Ruf des Doktortitels. Ich kann ihn verstehen, psychologisch sehr, sehr bedeutsam, kommt alles aus dem Mittelalter. Doktoren waren sehr selten, waren eine der wenigen Berufsgruppen, die den ganzen Tag Geistestätigkeiten nachgehen konnten, während die Bauern schufteten. Das war was ganz Mysteriöses für den ungebildeten Bereich der Bevölkerung. Und daher kommt das, dass wir den Doktortitel so schätzen. Tatsächlich, wenn wir uns aber die Fakten angucken, und das tun wir jetzt mal, ist es in der Regel so, dass wir Medizinstudenten eine Doktorarbeit machen, die nichts mit unserem späteren Berufsfeld zu tun hat und hunderte Stunden dauert, vergleichsweise schlecht organisiert ist. Das heißt, die Doktorandinnen und Doktoranden bringen sich selber bei, wie man eine Doktorarbeit schreibt. Beim ersten Versuch, das ist so, als würdest du versuchen, die erste Blinddarmoperation richtig zu machen. So, kein Scherz, die dir gegeben wird. Das ist die Realität. Warum kann ich das sagen? Weil ich habe nämlich eine kleine Co-Autorenschaft. Ich habe auch meine Doktorarbeit begonnen und wenn man mich googelt, stehe ich sogar dankenswerterweise als Co-Autor auf einem Paper der Berliner CIS-Studie, bei der ich mitgearbeitet habe. Daher weiß ich also ziemlich genau, wovon ich rede. Und habe, weil ich das so schrecklich fand und weil ich die Realität gesehen habe, wäre Punkt 3, habe dann damit aufgehört. Naja, aber wenn wir uns die Fakten angucken, wir investieren hunderte Stunden in eine Arbeit, die wir uns selber beibringen müssen und die in der Regel nichts mit dem späteren Beruf zu tun hat oder dem Fachgebiet, geschweige dem Fachgebiet, mit dem wir zu tun haben. Das heißt, können wir sagen, dass wir durch eine Doktorarbeit schlechter werden, fachlich schlechter. Das ist tatsächlich so, das ist kein Scherz. Also wer einen Doktortitel hat, der nicht in dem Bereich liegt, wo er dann auch später arbeitet, ist schlechter als die Vergleichspopulation an Ärzten, die diesen Doktortitel nicht gemacht hat. Ja, das muss man einfach mal so sich auf der Zunge zergehen lassen, aber es ist so. Und wer dann denkt, ja, aber Doktortitel hat einem Resilienz oder andere Fähigkeiten gegeben, wie analytisches Denken, nein, tut es nicht. Es ist sehr anstrengende, schwierige, komplexe Arbeit, die da hat das Studium uns schon sehr geprägt. Das muss man sagen, das Studium hinterlässt uns sehr mit sehr effektiven mentalen Schemata und Prägungen, die sind sehr großartig. Man denkt sehr flink als Arzt in der Regel und sehr logisch, aber ein Doktortitel fügt dem nicht mehr viel Brillanz hinzu. Ja, das ist der zweite Mythos. Also mit Doktortitel wäre ein Arzt besser. Wir Ärzte wissen, das ist die Regel, dass es nicht der Fall ist, sondern gegenteilig wirkt. Es gibt natürlich ein paar Ausnahmen. Wenn jetzt jemand eine Doktorarbeit gemacht hat, die in einem Fachgebiet, wo er oder sie auch arbeitet, sieht das natürlich nochmal ganz anders aus. Das kann sehr wertvoll sein, weiß man ganz genau, wovon man redet. Das ist aber überhaupt nicht, ist weder die Norm noch die Regel noch die Mehrheit. Die Mehrheit ist so, dass der Doktortitel sehr anerkannt ist. An vielen Berufsstellen, wo gearbeitet werden muss, sogar verpflichtet ist. Also an der Uni kommt man selten auf eine Uni ohne einen Doktortitel. Ist aber schlechter als, ja, es ist so. Hat einem eigentlich nur geschadet, aus fachlicher Sicht. Ja, es ist so. Wer was anderes behauptet, lügt. Also wenn jetzt hier jemand sich auf den Stift getreten fühlt, ich glaube dem nicht. Und es ist auch nicht so. Und ich habe mich natürlich mit vielen Doktoranden unterhalten und das bestätigen natürlich alle, die sich dieser Analyse unterziehen. Aber wenn du es trotzdem anders siehst, schreib mir gerne hier unten in die Kommentare und dann lese ich mir das durch und gucke, ob ich das auch so sehen kann oder ob ich dem...
Was ist das, du?
Ja, das dritte ist
Die
Art, wie Wissenschaft gemacht wird. Der dritte Punkt. Die Art, wie Wissenschaft gemacht wird, hat bei uns einen sehr, sehr guten Ruf, einen sehr, sehr hohen Ruf. Wir denken, Wissenschaft ist sozusagen der heilige Gral der ärztlichen Tätigkeit und das ist ja überhaupt schwierig so zu sagen, denn Wissenschaft ist ein komplexes Feld, womit sehr viel Geld gemacht werden kann und wird. Und ich kann nur aus meiner Erfahrung sogar sagen, vom Charité-Exzellenzinstituten, wo ich dann eben war und wo auch ich meine Doktorarbeit da angefangen hatte, dass die Forschung sich gar nicht so sehr orientieren kann an Erkenntnisgewinn, sondern an Drittmittelfinanzierung. Das heißt, ob eine andere Firma oder ob eine Firma, die damit auch irgendwann Geld machen kann, daran was verdienen könnte. Und wenn das keinen Zweck hat, keine patentierbaren Verfahren rauskommen können, dann wird nur mit kleinen Geldern daran geforscht. Sodass wir also einen riesen Bias haben, also Bias heißt Verzerrung, eine riesen Verzerrung in Richtung monetarisierbare Medizin. Und monetarisierbare Medizin ist nicht das gleiche wie gute Medizin. Ja, es könnte also sein, oder das ist nicht, könnte so sein, es ist so, dass die Anreize dann eben genau dieses Sprichwort zur Blüte bringen, was ich eben gesagt habe, dass der Patient eigentlich zwischen Tod und Leben in der Schwebe gehalten werden muss, damit aber sozusagen die Anreizstruktur zu heilen oder einmalige Therapieverfahren zu entwickeln, das ist gar nicht so gesagt. Also die Anreize sind da sehr, sehr schwierig und schwierig gesetzt und sehr vielversprechende Verfahren werden nicht ausgiebig erforscht und untersucht. Habe ich selber gesehen, also weil diese Institute müssen ja nämlich Drittmittel eintreiben, sonst läuft es da nicht. Das ist auch nur ein Betrieb, also natürlich ein schöner Betrieb, irgendwie Wissenschaft zu machen und Medizin zu machen, aber auch nur ein Betrieb, der auch an Geld hängt und der auch Löhne zu zahlen hat, und wenn die Drittmittel nicht eingetrieben werden, dann gibt es da keine Forschung mehr. Und das führt zu einem Problem, was ein russisches Sprichwort sehr gut sagt. Und dieses russische Sprichwort sagt, es ist leichter auf einen Tiger heraufzukommen, als wieder herunter. Und dieser Tiger ist die Wissenschaft. Also wir sind da drauf, das ist das Nonplusultra, aber jetzt haben wir sozusagen ein wissenschaftliches System, was ausgesprochen abhängig ist von dem größten Finanzzweig der Erde, nämlich der Pharmaindustrie. Und die verfolgt ja eben auch, weil sie Aktienunternehmen sind, eigene Interessen, und da hängen wir Ärzte eben jetzt dran und wir sind, wie soll man das sagen, ich will es nicht in bösen Worten sagen, wir sind abhängig. Der ärztliche Stand ist nicht so frei, wie man das sich wünscht. Das ist zum Beispiel so, dass die Lehrbücher so Die Lehrbücher sind eben lobbyistisch gefärbt. Ich habe damit in dem Sinne kein Problem, aber ich lebe ja in einem Land, eben, wo dann die Medizin darunter leidet und die Menschen darunter leiden. Und damit habe ich dann schon ein Problem. Ich finde gut, dass es Unternehmen gibt, die Geld mit Medikamenten verdienen und die entwickeln, keine Frage. Nur die Anreize sind dafür nicht ideal und führen zu diesen Problemen. Punkt 3. Ja, und Punkt 4 ist eben, dass viele Menschen nicht wissen, dass Ärzte ausgesprochen engstirnig im Kopf sind. Wie soll ich das sagen? Ja, in der Regel. Also das sehen wir dann in Form von Leitlinienmedizin, dass also Leitlinien ausgegeben werden und die schreiben den Ärzten vor, wie sie jetzt behandeln sollen. Und alle Abweichungen links und rechts vom Pfad, die werden eigentlich ganz eigenartig gesehen. Die kommen gar nicht vor, weil sie stehen ja gar nicht in diesen Leitlinien und sind eben nicht wissenschaftlich evaluiert. Aber darum geht es eben bei der Medizin auch gar nicht, weil die Medizin kommt historisch aus individuellen Heilversuchen und setzt sich aus denen zusammen und ist eine Kunst und keine Wissenschaft. Also das heißt, in vielen Fällen haben wir keine Antwort und wir müssen individuelle Wege gehen und versuchen. Das mache auch ich in meiner Praxis. Und ich habe auch bei ärztlichen Vorbildern gelernt, die das auch noch gemacht haben, aber die werden immer weniger. Also ich spreche jetzt hier ganz konkret von Arno Thaller, einem Krebsmediziner, auch in Bayern hier, bei dem ich gelernt habe, der phänomenale virolytische Therapie gemacht hat, also mit onkolytischen Viren der Krebs behandelt, mit alternativen Therapieverfahren und hatte also nur Gegenwind gehabt, aber vor dem Bundesverfassungsgericht, ich glaube 2013, aber spektakulär mit seiner Patientin gewonnen und dem Medizin-Establishment eine Watsche verpasst. Vor dem Bundesverfassungsgericht. Also muss man echt sagen, ne? Hut ab. Wir wissen, nicht mal jede 100. Klage vom Bundesverfassungsgericht wird überhaupt angenommen und dann noch zu gewinnen. Also Hochachtung. Übrigens das Ergebnis dieses spektakulären Urteils war, dass eine gesetzliche Krankenversicherung verpflichtet wurde, seiner Patientin die Therapie bei ihm zu bezahlen, weil, ich versuche es jetzt zu zitieren, weil die gesetzlichen Krankenversicherungen auch in sogenannten aussichtslosen Fällen oder wenn keine andere Therapie zur Verfügung steht, die sinnvoller erscheint, eine nicht ganz abwegig erscheinende Therapie bezahlen müssen. Also so in Deutsch gesagt, bloß weil es keine eindeutige Studienlage zu bestimmten Verfahren gibt, heißt es nicht, dass eine gesetzliche Krankenversicherung dann das abschmettern darf und sagen darf, ja, das steht ja nicht in Leitlinie A, B oder C, dass das kein Argument ist, eine Behandlung nicht zu übernehmen. Sondern im Gegenteil, wenn eine nicht ganz zu vernachlässigende Chance auf Heilung besteht, dann ist es zu zahlen. Muss in der Regel anwaltlich durchgeboxt werden, aber das steht da jetzt und ist hoheitlich, also höchstrichterlich entschieden. Ja. Und ich mache in der Tradition weiter, allerdings nicht mit onkolytischer Virentherapie, sondern mit ursachenbezogener Auflösungstherapie. Aber das Denken von Arno ist natürlich weitergegangen zu mir. Ja, und diese Engständigkeit, dieses enge Denken der Ärzte, ihr werdet das sicherlich mitbekommen haben, welche Ärztinnen und Ärzte verstehen sich als Anwälte ihrer Patientinnen, das wird uns auch schlecht beigebracht. Also ich habe es im Studium nicht beigebracht bekommen, ich habe es vorgelebt bekommen von einzelnen Oberärztinnen und Oberärzten, aber das, ihr könnt ja unten gerne mal eure Erfahrung schreiben. Also das fehlt auf jeden Fall an den Universitäten, dass wir wirklich mehr die Position für die Patienten einnehmen und dass Medizin eine Kunst ist und die Wissenschaft der Medizin dient. Auch das ist so eine Sache, ne? Als ob Medizin wissenschaftlich ist. Ja, die Wissenschaften sind ganz wichtige Hilfsmittel der Medizin, aber die Medizin kommt immer noch aus der Liebe und die Liebe kommt aus Gott und nicht aus der Wissenschaft. Da kommt die Medizin nicht her. Die hat einen anderen Ursprung, nämlich der Freude am Helfen. Und ich hoffe, dieses Video hat dir gefallen. Ich erwarte hier schon ordentlich Gegenwind in den Kommentaren, wie ich hier mal wieder sozusagen durch den Kakao gezogen werde. Also halte dich bitte nicht zurück. Schreib gerne, wenn dir sowas unter den Fingern juckt und wenn du dich interessierst, was ich mache und wie ich anderen Ärztinnen, Heilpraktikern, Therapeuten und Quereinsteigern helfe, auch ursachenorientierte Therapie zu machen und einfach wahnsinnig tolle Ergebnisse bei auch vielen sogenannten unheilbaren Erkrankungen zu begleiten und den Menschen zu helfen, diese in sich zu finden, dann informiere dich hier gerne unten in der Videobeschreibung. Ich wünsche bis dann alles Liebe. Dein Oskar Salomon aus Bayern. Bye bye.
Hi. I'm going to make this message as quick and as engaging as possible because I want it to resonate with as many people as possible. Because I truly think it is the key not only to manifestation and easily attracting your desires, but it is the key to having a full, fulfilling, rich life where you actually deeply get to know yourself, where you actually get to experience the full range of being a human. Now let's get to it. I am going to read you a very brief diary entry that I did this morning. And there's going to be some practical things that you can implement in your own life at the end. So, you cannot be happy all of the time, but you can be appreciative all of the time. So just a little bit of context. I've always wanted to be a musician. And like since I was like 7 years old, I started writing songs, and I've been singing since then, but I've never really posted or like made my songs public, just because I feel like it's a lot of throat chakra stuff. And that's another thing. I'm going to read something to you that is very personal. So my apologies if like my voice is quivering or shaking. It's definitely some throat chakra stuff where I'm like, oh, I'm scared, I don't want to share this. So anyways, let's get to it. Like, no, I don't have a platform on Spotify, and I don't even have 5,000 YouTube subscribers. But what's most beautiful is I don't need any of those things to fully flow, to feel whole, to show up for myself and my loved ones in a way that a being of light and joy would. I don't need any of those things to feel the sun and enjoy, fully enjoy, and breathe life into the present moment. That's why alignment, this is the key, that's why alignment is the most valuable piece of the journey of life. Because I know by operating at this state, I attract more because I am existing at the same wavelength as it, and like attracts like. My channel, my YouTube channel that you're watching this on right now, gets the most beautiful sparks of growth when I don't care and am fully invested in spreading the message most full of light. However, when I'm hyperfixated on negative comments or analytics or just trying to get a certain number at a certain time, even though I know it's just a number, growth slows and I attract more of those rigid experiences. But this is where people get tripped up, me included. This isn't a bad thing. Those moments are not a bad thing. You should not fear or avoid these moments because they are where your wounds and healings and lessons for growth exist. There is no hierarchy or superiority in emotion or experience. That is something our ego likes to say, or dark forces, but I don't know if some of y'all are ready for that, or darker energetic forces, to cause blockages and keep us stuck and comfortable in an old identity. But the truth is that there is oneness. And so this is like a little drawing. I'm not a good drawer. I drew me like crisscross, and then there's this wavelength across the page. And this is just me visualizing the frequency of intrusive thinking, fear of failure, of a period where my ego is very loud and I feel pressure. And on the side, this feels really bad. You might like have a similar time, right? You might like resonate with that where it's like, oh yeah, I have moments like that as well. However, this frequency, even though we like to label it as low vibe, as like bad for you, it guides you and allows you to return to a state where you relearn lessons. Maybe remembering old realizations or adopting old or new helpful habits. This is the state that will always bring you towards change. It will always guide you to something better. So we always come out of low vibe or low frequency emotions and experiences with new clarity, joy, and knowledge. There is always a glow up, whether physically, emotionally, spiritually, because it's always in balance. So, all of that to say, if you're still here, I love you. So, the task here is to align by removing blockages. Actively allow yourself to experience flow by connecting to the present moment. And now I have 4 actionable things for you. This means, number 1, treating your triggers and pain that arises like a wounded animal. I want you right now to picture, if you have a pet, or if you have a niece or a nephew or a best friend, someone who is very precious to you, someone who you treasure a lot. And now I want you to think of your triggers. I want you to think of that low, weird state that you get in that doesn't feel good. If you have anxiety or depression, like allow it to arise for a little bit. Like allow it, welcome it. You know intuitively how to treat a wounded animal when you see it on the street. If you were to see your pet or the person that is precious to you just like outside your front door and they're scared and they're hurting, how would you treat them? You know intuitively how to treat them in a way that will make them feel safe and heard and heal them. So, to align yourself, to remove blockages, is treating yourself the same way, is treating your wounds and your triggers the exact same way. Allow them to arise, give them the space. be a support system for them, because that's what they are so desperately needing. They are not trying to hurt you. They are literally such a profound gift, and they are really not trying to hurt you. I was so unhappy when I put so much pressure on myself to be happy all the time, and I would not allow myself to feel any emotions that felt uncomfortable, and I would just suppress everything. I would push everything down because I had this idealized version of myself where it's like, no, I shouldn't feel that. I'm trying to be this person, and this person doesn't feel that. But you can't fully heal if you don't look at the thing, if you don't allow it to express and you don't give it space. You're dehumanizing yourself. You're one-dimensionalizing yourself if you don't allow your triggers to arise and fully look at them. So yeah, these past few days, I have a dog that I put down this past summer, and he was literally like my rock. He was with me all throughout my dad going through chemo, and he was my childhood dog pretty much. And so now every time when a trigger arises or I start to feel like anxious or like some depressive thoughts, I treat it like how I would treat him. And I am in a state right now where I am so in flow, like I'm so relaxed. Things are just so at peace, and I'm just like openly being myself, and it's amazing, and you deserve the same thing. Next bullet point. Again, and I opened it up with this. Understand that you can't always be happy, but you can always be grateful. You can always be grateful. There will always be something, no matter how deep the depressive episode is, and trust me, I have been there. There will always be something where you can look around, or you can feel the fact that you have like skin and like whatever it is. There's always something that you can be grateful for. Bullet point 3. Open yourself up to the growth, lessons, and profound gifts that always come from pain and discomfort. Every single time you have gone through an anxious loop or a depressive episode, there is always something that you get out of that. There is always a gift. And like, that doesn't mean don't feel the pain, because go back to the first bullet point. You need to fully feel the pain. You need to be there for it. Be there for that part of yourself that really just wants to feel and let it go. And through every dark moment, there is always going to be a shift in you. Every single dark moment.
I think I need to meditate more.
Number 4.
Brother, wollen wir
It's
meditieren?
easier to connect when you're disconnected. You can only fully hear yourself when your inner voice isn't drowned out by distractions. So go for a walk in nature without your phone. Take a shower or a bath in the dark only lit by candlelight, without your phone, without any music. Delete social media for a day. You're watching this on YouTube. How often do you watch YouTube instead of in meditation or listening to your thoughts? And that's not trying to call you out, but it like also kind of is. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because me too. Like the days where I'm consuming too much content, and I know it feels nice because it's like you're trying to learn,
She got me.
or it's information, or it's things that make you feel good. Like I watch so many dog videos, and all of that is great. But what's most important is the relationship that you have with yourself, and the relationship that you can show up for your loved ones, and to be a being of light in this world. You have the full power of being a being of light in this world, of being a magician. You know, the tarot card, the magician. And there are things that you want, are there not? There are those desires that you have. That's probably why you clicked on this video. So this is your message now. Have the guts to just go offline for a day, for a week, and put that energy towards aligning yourself to your desire. Social media is great. Like, the social media is giving you this message right now. I like social media. I think there's a very positive side to social media, but it is so overstimulating. You are not meant to be stimulated all the time. You are meant to create. You are meant to go out there and spread your message. Literally right now, you could be making a video just like this, if you want to, if your heart feels called to it. So why don't you? You would be surprised, you will be surprised at truly how smart and beautiful you are. You will be surprised as to how capable you are. But you can't get to that point if you're constantly stimulating yourself with external information and addictions. You can't get to that point. You may not have been on a date with yourself for so long. And maybe all it takes is just a day off of social media, just a day not watching the news, just blocking it all out and only dedicating time to yourself. And your inner voice might say exactly what you need to do in order to get everything that you've ever desired. Seriously. Just try it. Just try it. And then come back to this video and be like, oh my God, that was like, yes, that was exactly what I needed. And if anything comes from it, please come back and let me know. Wow, that was personal. I shared some personal stuff in here. But I love you guys so much, and especially if you made it to the end, please comment down below. I would love to hear from you. I love reading your comments. You all are so beautiful. So beautiful. And please just know, the power is within yourself. All you need to do, this is the only, like, dopamine hit information that you need. Allow yourself to fully feel. Be there for yourself as you would a wounded animal. Open yourself up to the fact that all of the pain that you've had, even if you're looping over the oh my God, getting ahead of myself. Even if you've looped over the past 1,000,000 times, feel that. Keep feeling it. Be there for yourself. Be your own best homie. But also realize, oh, so much came from that, and if that wouldn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today. And always realize that there's always something you can be so grateful for, and that you are so blessed. You are so blessed. Like, you are such a being of light. Seriously. And create today. Disconnect today. Spend time with just you, because you deserve that. Okay. I love you so much. And again, if you made it to the end, please do let me know, because I love hearing from you guys. And yeah, if you would like some, if you made it this far, consider subscribing to my newsletter, because I have a paid ebook out right now. It's called the 14-Day Energy Shift. But for those who don't want to pay, and you also want like an exercise, a printable exercise, consider subscribing to my newsletter. That will be linked in the bio or in my YouTube bio, because I am giving you a free gift there of like a simple 10-minute exercise that you can do to get rid of any negative excess energy and to align with your higher self. It's something that has really helped me, and that I do think will help you as well. I also send out insights and free tools, and sometimes even like I sent out a lot of pages from my ebook as well on the newsletter. So consider subscribing. It's a cool group of people, and I love you guys that are subscribed too. And yeah, that is it. Thank you so much. Mwah. I'm sending you the biggest hug. So much love. You got this. Bye.
Let's go. I am Ray, and why does nobody talk about the fact that opening your third eye too soon can absolutely ruin your life? But no, it's a spiritual trend. Let's open the third eye, shall we? No, don't do it. Not yet. Before we begin, I want to address something. And that is, I've learned from the error of my ways. I bought new markers. Black only. See how these work. Fresh. Now, here's the problem. Here is source, and you have like this little umbilical cord connected to you, and the third eye is the portal to source. Imagine like an outlet. Plug. You're plugged in, and that's great. Congratulations. You're alive. Think about it this way. The third eye contracts and it expands. Now, this is just my theory. Bear with me. But darkness triggers the third eye to expand, whereas light triggers the third eye to close. So in the morning time, depending on your circadian rhythm, your connection to source closes off, and you have energy for the day. And when you use up that energy, you have to go to sleep. Darkness. So when you go to sleep at night, you enter into mini-death. The third eye opens, you get flooded with life, with power. God power. And that does all your healing repairs, and then provides you with energy for the next day, and over again. The problem is... Need my phone for things? Let's see. Let's say you're operating at 120 volts, which is like most plugs in your house. But your dryer takes 240, let's say, 240 volts. It needs more electricity to run. But if you send 240 into a 120 appliance, you're going to blow it up. And so when you open yourself up to the source of power, if your body is not ready to handle that power, you're going to get fried. And that is what you see when people go crazy. It's called spiritual psychosis, madness. It's the same reason why certain people, it's more dangerous for them to take psychedelics. Because the same thing happens. When you take psychedelics, the portal opens and you open up the floodgates and you're flooded with God. And the thing that some people suffer from is that sometimes Humpty Dumpty can't put themselves back together again. Whether you expose yourself to certain spiritual ideas, have a psychedelic experience, open the third eye, if you're not ready for it, bad things, you won't know how to recover. You won't know how to return to baseline and be able to function in life. So be careful. Let's get to the practical things, shall we? As far as I can tell, this is the main danger. Here's your head. If your other chakras, the lower animal instincts, if your system is not flowing properly, if your other chakras are not opened, where's that energy going to go? The heart is the gateway between the spirit realm and the earthly realm. Your heart needs to be opened. But simply put, you need room for that energy to flow. Otherwise, what happens? All that power, all that juice, that electricity, it gets stuck in your head. And you explode, possibly. And that is why madness ensues. Because you're so stuck in your head, and you have entered into imbalance, my friend. Don't do it. Be careful. And how you remedy this is simple. If you are already here, you must address the issue of the body. You have to open the pathway up for that energy to go. Open up the lower chakras, my friend. Because when energy cannot flow properly, it becomes destructive, so it can destroy your life. We need to open up the flow. Think about it this way. You have spirit, source, funnel down to mind, but you don't want your energy to be stuck here. You want to continue grounding yourself in the world, in your body. Release the pressure from that big head of yours. Funnel it down here. It begins by stop worrying about philosophy and ideas and intellectual things. Stop it. You don't need any more thoughts. You don't need any more information. You got plenty. What you need is grounding. Think about what happens if a house is not properly grounded. There's fires and death. Number one, move. Do not stay still. Energy needs somewhere to go. This is why so many people have mental health issues. They're sitting around all day, doing nothing, looking at a screen. They're not moving their bodies. I say if you want to live a terrible life, have an active mind and a still body. Why? Because in that case you have so much information floating around in here. But if you want to live a great life, have a still mind and an active body. Because when you dissipate some of that energy into your body, the mind quiets down. You're not thinking so much, you're not lost in the madness of your own thoughts, and you experience peace and relief. Because the thing is, peace is the default state. But we have so many thoughts, so many mind stuff, taking away our peace. So first things, you got to get some of that energy into your body. Move and don't stop until you experience relief. Do some shaking. Release some of that tension. Tension creates energy blockages. A great practice a Hindu mystic on YouTube teaches. His name is Satya G. Nice guy. He has a practice that is, you shake for 15 minutes. Just shake. Shake your body, however that means to you. And then, for 15 minutes, you do some dancing. Listen to some music. Allow your body to just go with the flow. And then for 15 minutes, you go sit and meditate and relax into your body. Now, you can do it each for 5 minutes or 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. Just shake. Just dance. Maybe you can do some singing. It has to be physical. Get out of the mind space. We no longer belong there. We want to do some exercise, some stretches. Relax the body. Because in non-resistance, energy can flow. Tension is resistance. The problem is, if you're experiencing spiritual psychosis, the problem is the mind. The problem is thoughts. The problem is reacting to your experiences, to your thoughts, to the scary feelings. So you want to get out of your head and into your body, which means learning how to be in the present moment as often as you can. Later on, you can go back and think thoughts if you like. And the thing about meditation, it's often easier to meditate after exercise, after you've moved the body. Because when you're sitting there, but you got all this energy in your mind, there's all kinds of thoughts all the time. So you're battling with your thoughts. I'm trying not to think, but I can't. So you have to deal with the problem at the level of the body and literally ground yourself. Go out onto the grass with your bare feet and just do some stretches, do some shaking there, and get some sunlight. Hydrate properly, maybe do some fasting, or at least pay attention to what you eat. The whole point, take care of the body, focus on the body. If you got a mind problem, don't try to think your way out of it. Move your way out of it. It is easier to act your way into positive thinking than it is to think your way into positive action. Usually the problem is, sometimes we like to hop on spiritual trends, and opening your third eye seems cool. Yay. Not yay. Nay, actually. I mean, first of all, ask yourself why you're trying to open your third eye in the first place. But focus on opening your lower chakras first. Because until you open these, the energy is going to have nowhere to go. You must build a better vessel that can handle that energy. The reason people go mad, spirituality ruins their life, because they haven't built a proper vessel in order to handle that intense power. They plug themselves in too soon. And they get
No, I think honestly
The
one
root
chakra is through the
grounding.
back.
Don't skip leg day. Your legs stem from the root chakra. Exercise your legs. Do things that are creative. Things that you love. A hobby. Writing. Painting. If you have any sexual trauma, deal with that. You gotta get
It's
the
like
energy
7
flowing in these
gateways.
areas.
You have
Solar
to
plexus.
investigate.
You want to be strong in your identity. In spirituality, we say, no, kill the ego. Ego is bad. But If your ego is not strong enough, it's like Humpty Dumpty looking around like, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't put myself back together again. But if you have a strong identity, if you have a strong center, it doesn't matter, your life can fall apart and you'll make it. You will return. So you want to get clear on who you are, what you want, what kind of person you are. Don't just get so attached to the spiritual ideas and say, no, I don't want any identity, I don't want to be a person, I don't want to be an ego. Stop it. Your ego's not going away anytime soon, unless you're already enlightened. And if you're already enlightened, well, you're probably just chilling somewhere. The ego is a tool that you may use. The error is not in having an ego, it is in identifying with it. And what happens oftentimes in spirituality is that we have these frameworks from which we live our life. That is a construct of our beliefs, our identities of who we believe we are, the stories we tell ourselves, etc. And this keeps us safe. It lets us at least believe that, okay, I know reality enough where I'm not just gonna die one day accidentally. The framework allows you to function as a normal human being. But in spirituality, if you really dive deep, you're gonna get blown away. That framework is not going to sustain itself because the framework is built around your ego. And once you discover that the ego is an illusion, you no longer have this safety net. The ego is just a thought, it's just memory, but it helps ground us to reality. And so spirituality will come along like you're floating in the ocean. This is your lifeboat. Spirituality comes and says, nope, cuts the lifeboat, and you start sinking in the ocean. Talk about madness. Now you're in open ocean, lost in chaos, don't know what to do. What do you start doing? You become hopeless, and you start drowning because you're freaking out. You're just freaking out. And when you start hyperventilating and freaking out, you're not going to last very long. But if you can just calm yourself down, you can be free, and you can find your way back to solid ground, my friend. First, we kind of need the knowledge of what we're going through, a bit of understanding, so we know how to deal with the problem. Once we know what to do, act. So what we want to do, because spirituality will destroy your ego. Nothing can survive the light of God. So you want to begin building this box back up. If you're stuck in the ocean, if you're drowning, if you're going through spiritual psychosis, you have to put yourself back together. Who am I? Not in the spiritual self-inquiry way, in realizing that you are the divine. Who are you as a person? Who are you as an individual? Who do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Because if you don't know who you are anymore, there's nothing left to do but drown. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to think. You don't know how to behave. And so this is how we put the pieces back together again. We get some stable ground. We're not just floating in the ether. Here's one way we may look at it, perhaps. Let's just say the energy flows down like this. These are the lower chakras up. These are the higher chakras down. If you learn nothing else, remember this one word, grounding. Grounding yourself in the body, in the world again. Because spirituality, opening your third eye, will destroy your ability to function in society if you're not careful. We need balance. We don't just need spirituality. So I made the video. You need spirituality and self-improvement. Exercise, working on the body, working on your mind, and also becoming free, finding God. And if you are too attached to one or the other, you're going to experience problems. You're going to be out of harmony with life. And when you're not in harmony with life, you're in harmony with death. And that is why people suffer. All you have to do, return to balance. See where you're imbalanced, find the problem, and then integrate the opposite energy. Most spiritual people, they don't have problems being spiritual. They have problems being a person, being a human, living in the world in which most other people live in. But we've been conditioned to believe that spiritual is better than earthliness. Whether it's religion, doesn't matter. It's not true. You cannot reject any one of the parts without also rejecting the whole thing. It's not about running away from the world. It's not about running away from your earthly desires and your flesh and all that. It's about learning how to be in the world but not of the world. Be of the spirit but live like everybody else. What I mean by that is, you can have a conversation with somebody. You can have small talk. People can talk to you and they don't suspect that you're any different than them. Awakening is usually not a good thing for most people in the beginning. Think about how conspiracy theorists act. Everybody's a sheep. They're obsessed with it.
There's
oh,
a
look at all
bunch
these
to
conspiracies.
learn
Oh, this is the
first.
way the world is, and everybody's they don't understand.
Same goes for me. Like
Everybody's asleep. Yeah, that's just
such a
called
long
getting
way
lost
to
in the
go.
madness. You go from one prison to the next. Same thing happens with spirituality. You begin to see how everybody else is sleepwalking, and you feel like you are somehow superior. Spirituality is about living well. It's not about,
Love
not about
everything
being
he said
better
in
than
here.
others. So if whatever you're doing isn't making your life better, stop it. I know in a world where everyone's asleep, awakening seems special. It's not. You don't see me boasting about how awake I am. I'm awake right now. Are you not awake right now? We're all awake. We're all breathing. We're all alive. There's no reason to be prideful about being alive, about breathing, about being awake. Which is why enlightened people don't talk about how enlightened they are. But when you're imbalanced toward the higher energies, that is what you do. you get trapped in the spiritual ego. An even more simple way to think about it is the yin and the yang. Chaos and order. If you feel like you're getting stuck in madness, you have too much chaos energy and you need order, which is why we discussed grounding, putting things back together. Whereas if you're too much of an egomaniac, you want to dissolve that ego a bit. It's like a sword. If it's too rigid, it becomes brittle and it breaks. If it's too flimsy, it is not useful. Just flops all over the place. Balance, my friend. See where you're first imbalanced, and then integrate the opposite energy. We are all instruments of God, and our life is the song. And whether or not our song is in tune, whether or not our life is in harmony, is determined by whether or not we are in tune. So are your strings too loose, or are they too tight? You'll feel it, you'll know intuitively what is going on. Once
so
you know
good,
this,
dude.
you know the antidote, because by integrating the opposite energy, you return to balance, and things solve themselves. I am Ray. Visit my coolest store. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.
What if I told
That was really good. Listen to her. I thought last time we had one from her, but I can't remember. That was really good as well. And I might put in some fries in the air fryer. That could be the play, honestly. Yep. Pretty tired already, though, for sure. I am hungry.
you have the power to change your life simply by the way you observe it? Now, I know that sounds crazy or even unbelievable to you, but what I'm about to explain to you will change your life. I'm going to scientifically explain to you why your life is the way it is. If you're tired of feeling limited, living in fear, living paycheck to paycheck, if you're just done with this 3D reality that's been painted around you, this video is for you. If you're new to my channel, my name's Karina, and I used to live in scarcity. I used to live in lack. I suffered from a lot of programs that just kept me living in the past and unintentionally creating the same experiences over and over again, experiences that I did not want. I am now living in abundance. I've completely transformed my life through science. I've reprogrammed my mind. I know there's a lot of people that are seeking answers to life and wondering, why were we born to suffer? Everything you've been taught is a lie in the traditional system of living. This video is part 2 on how to change your life and break your limiting beliefs. You absolutely need to watch part 1. Part 1 breaks down critical information about what happens to you in your childhood and how you unconsciously take those things into your adult life. One thing that I really need you to understand is that focus is the world's biggest currency. Lock in and put your all into this video. So how did we just create this life around us, these things that we have, these people in our life, our parents, everyone around us? How did we make that happen? Everyone and everything in your life that has happened in the past and happening right now, whether you want it or not, you've attracted through quantum physics. What is quantum physics? It's the behavior of nature when it comes to atoms. We're about to get real scientific here. For me, when I understand how something works, it really sticks. And I need this to stick for you. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this information might trigger you, but hear me out, okay? So everything around you right now, your physical body is made up of what? What did we learn in 7th grade biology? Atoms, right? Atoms consist of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Every single thing, including this board, is made up of atoms, and atoms is energy. We know this because of Albert Einstein's E = mc squared. If you guys hear any tapping in the background, it's because there's a rainstorm going on, so please ignore that. Everyone commented in my last video, the sound quality is so bad. It's about the message. So this equation explains that matter and energy are interchangeable. They can convert into one or another. The particles in my body and this board is matter, and matter equals energy. But if everything is made up of the same things, then why is it that we see things separate from us? Why is this board not connected or fused with my body? It's because the particles in my body and the particles in this board vibrate at a different frequency. Now I'm gonna explain one of the most biggest scientific experiments that happened in the history of science, and it was done by a man named Thomas Young in 1801. This is known as the double slit experiment. Stay with me guys. Why this experiment made history is because it explains that we can manipulate the behavior of the particles in this board, in our bodies, in this reality that's painted around us. We could change our reality. So what this man did is he took a light source and a wall that had 2 linear slits, and he shined the light through the 2 slits that then transferred onto a background. You would expect the light to transfer onto the background as 2 lines, right? What we see transferred onto the background is this pattern of multiple lines. So what he did is, instead of using light, he used particles. If we run the experiment again, but with sand, and you pour sand through those 2 slits, you're gonna see it transfer onto the background as 2 piles. But what's the difference between light and sand? Everything's made up of the same particles, we're all atoms. So going back to using the light source, we discovered that light behaves like waves. Here is a picture of the same experiment, but with water. When water travels through the 2 slits, it creates a ripple effect where the waves bounce off of each other, creating a new pattern. We know that light behaves the same way. That's why we see this pattern. So Thomas thinks, I'm gonna take an atom gun and I'm gonna shoot atoms through the slits, but this time, let's cover one of the slits. And as you could see, the atoms transfer as a single line. So then, Thomas thinks, why not put a camera to watch how they move through these slits? So this isn't the same result we got earlier, Pookie. So then he thinks, let's turn the camera off. We're gonna leave everything the way it is, but we're gonna go creep over and unplug the camera, and let's run this experiment again. If you can explain why these atoms are choosing to behave differently, how is it that turning the camera off changed its behavior? This experiment explains that atoms that make up this 3D reality can be changed by the way you observe them. How you observe
I know
your
about
life
this
can cause your reality
since
to
like
change.
8th
Are
grade
you
or
listening?
something.
So we now understand that whatever it is we focus on, we create. But what if I told you that everyone in your life is a reflection of you? Law of attraction is a universal law, which means it exists whether you believe it or not.
String
that you
theory
attract
is
what
like
you think about.
the answer
You
to everything, I
attract
believe.
people, experiences, anything around you.
has
You've
everything to do
attracted
with what
because the
she's talking
particles in your body, in those thoughts that you think every day, carry a frequency that vibrates at the same rate as those people, those things, those experiences. You guys have got new colors. Hopefully my brain's more accurate this time. So your brain, oh my God, your brain is a neurotransmitter projecting all of these waves, these frequencies out into the world. So when you have thoughts that you think every day, thoughts of negativity, things like heartbreak, all men are trash, women are trash. If you are thinking broke, living in scarcity, thinking that money is hard to make, if you're having thoughts of anger, all of these thoughts carry frequency. So as you're thinking these thoughts every day, they're just sending out waves, like a neurotransmitter, like a radio station. You're projecting all of these beliefs out into the world that are causing you to attract people, items, situations of the same frequency to you through law of attraction. But how is it that we attract bad situations to us? Tying it back to programs, what we covered in part 1. Remember, I told you to think of your brain as a computer, and the programs that you suffer from, the limiting beliefs, the negative thoughts, negative belief patterns you have. When we have these programs downloaded into our subconscious minds like software, the program is being ran over and over again, which is blocking you from manifesting change, from being able to change your focus, your perspective onto the things you want to attract, the new life you want to have, the new lover, the abundance, the joy. The traumas we hold, the programs, limiting beliefs is causing us to attract these things and experiences into our lives that we don't want. But what I haven't explained to you is how these problems, these traumas you've inherited through epigenetics from life experiences get trapped in our energy centers. You guys, at this point, I don't know. I'm so disappointed in my drawings. We have 7 main energy centers in our body, and they are known as chakras. The programs that are stuck in our subconscious mind block our energy centers from being able to send out the right frequencies we need to attract the experiences we want, to attract the manifestations, the dream lover, the dreamy car. Now, I don't have the correct colors to use, but we're gonna work with what we got. So the first energy center is known as the root chakra. The root chakra is responsible for survival, the energy of grounding, trust, everything that is like the root of our being. Next is the sacral chakra.
So that's the navel.
This chakra is responsible for intimacy. It holds space for creativity.
I think the root is the...
and the energy of abundance. The third chakra is our solar plexus. This chakra is where we hold our power, our manifestation ability, vitality. And if any of you would love to share more about chakras, because I'm going to cover it briefly, comment, because I would love to read what you have to say about it. So we have the root, sacral, and solar plexus. Fourth is our heart chakra, which has to do with love, forgiveness, healing. Here is the throat chakra, which is responsible for communication, expression.
The third eye
between our
and the
eyes
crown
is our third eye, which covers intuition, awareness, thought. Last is our crown. The very top of our head. This is spirituality, enlightenment. So these are our 7 energy centers. And energy is constantly going through these energy centers, which is creating our life force energy. And it's possible for a center to be blocked, to be aligned or misaligned, which can drastically change our energetic, physical, or spiritual state of being. What blocks these chakras is our programs, those limiting beliefs, those traumatic experiences you've been through. The programs get stuck in these centers. Now, each energy center sends out frequencies. Whatever is being held in these chakras emits frequencies that makes up our entire vibration, what programs and stuck emotions look like in these chakras. I'm gonna put up a picture, pause and read over it. Are you showing any signs of a blocked chakra? So how do we heal? How do we unblock?
Ooh, my heart. Oh, my heart chakra is a whole mess. Oh, shit. Yeah, okay. I think I gotta open my heart chakra, somehow fix it. Oh boy, my heart chakra is completely fucked, dude. Ouch. Yeah, it looks like heart chakra candidate. Anything else is like okay, I suppose. Oh.
Are you showing any signs of a blocked chakra? So how do we heal? How do we unblock these chakras? How do we change the frequencies that we're sending out? The answer is love. The answer is forgiveness, gratitude, and changing the perspective you have on the situations that have happened to you. I know some of you aren't gonna like that answer, and some of you might be thinking, how could I forgive someone for hurting me? How can I hold love in my heart for them when they did this to me? Go and watch part 1. And that's why I'm making these videos, because when I understood the science, the psychology behind this entire process and trying to heal from the things that have happened to me, understanding how this all comes to be in the first place allowed me to open my heart. When your heart is open, you're not so quick to judge, bringing you peace and mastering the art of allowing. The art of allowing is when you can allow people to be who they are, allow people to simply be and not have an effect on you. When you can understand that they are them and you are you, and no one can alter your frequency, your state of being. But mastering this art does not mean that you are a doormat. It does not mean that you tolerate behavior because you understand why people are the way they are. It's simply a tool for you to navigate through the world better. The truth is that there is no quick fix. The longer that you believe it is other people's fault and that they have to heal you, you will continue to suffer. We have to stop focusing on what happened and focus on the perspective we have of the situation. You now understand scientifically how you could change your reality by your perspective of it. Holding on to pain is self-sabotage, and it is only going to affect you and your loved ones around you. So how do you open your heart to love, to a new perspective, a new story, to forgiveness? You've already done step 1, and that's watching this video. Step 2, and my question for you, have you ever allowed yourself to feel? We live in a world of such masculine energy of suppressing, thinking that we have to suppress our emotions to carry on and that it's not a choice. But this is self-sabotage. This is self-harm. Step 2 is acceptance and embracing those emotions, sitting within yourself, whether it's through meditation or prayer, and allowing them to flow through your body, allowing yourself to feel, to cry, to scream, to let it out. Next is breaking those programs. When those thoughts decide to creep up back to you, when that old version of you tries to come back in. Anytime that I feel a limiting belief come on or negative thoughts, I would stop everything I was doing in that moment and repeat, this no longer serves me. I release this old thought because this is not who I am anymore. Similar to affirmation, it's like a mantra, and this has worked wonders for me. Practicing gratitude and choosing to see the beauty in the world,
people have
in
like
people and
multiple
situations
mantras
truly shifted my perspective, because you start to
meditations.
see that
It's
there's
so
beauty in
crazy.
everything. God is in everything. When you choose to see that
I
perspective,
believe in all
you
of
attract
this,
more of
but
it, and it
it's
shifts
like,
your
where
belief
do I
patterns,
start?
because that is only what you see.
I think the
It's not putting
chakras
your
is
head in
the
the
next
sand
thing
and
we have to
ignoring
understand.
negativity around you.
For
It's
sure.
simply you're choosing what to focus on, which creates good frequencies in your body to then emit to the world. Last is to make education part of your self-care routine, whether that's watching YouTube
brother.
videos, reading books, investing in life coaching, even therapy. Investing in yourself, your energy, your mental health reflects out to the world, because you truly, this 3D reality truly is just a representation of what's going on inside of you. Last, I just want to say that you hold the keys to your own freedom. Freedom is the freedom from resistance, and resistance can only be self-applied. Other people can behave in ways that are unpleasing, but it's up to me to choose what to focus on. But how can I focus on positivity when all of these things are going on around me? For me, I decided that I can either focus on the problems or I can focus on the solution. It feels better to focus on the solution. Some people might say, how can you be so selfish? How can you put your head in the sand and ignore what's going on in the world?
Wow,
The
you
evil
gotta
in
be
this
so
world. My
strong.
answer is, I'm aware of it. In fact, like you, I was born to notice it. I was born to choose what feels best to me. I see plenty of things that I don't want to perpetuate, so I choose not to get stuck in the vibration of that anymore. I move quickly from what I don't want to what I do want, and I do my best to practice the vibration of what I do want. I hope you guys can take this information from this video and use it as tools to create a happier, more abundant and peaceful life. I have some really exciting news that I want to share with you. I'm creating something extremely big, so big that it honestly terrifies me. I'm currently creating a brand that represents me. Everything in this video, what this YouTube channel represents, to make information like this popular and spread it to the youth. I am creating pieces and items that people can wear and embody as their frequency, and I would love for you to be part of my mission. In the description box below, you can join the Starborn community. My website is linked where you could sign up for email updates on what's to come, how to be a part of this mission, and also see the
So now
products that
she's
I'm
gonna
working
tell us some
on.
stuff.
You can also follow me on Instagram. My
And
only goal in
I
this
would
life is to
actually
help
buy
you
it,
step
dude.
into your power, creator. This brand is going to teach the
yeah,
world the things that we don't
that's
learn
how
in
you do it,
school,
man.
because you truly are the
100K
shiny
subs.
object. All of my links are
Easy.
below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I would love for you to engage and comment. If you have any information or experiences or things you've done to overcome your programs, comment below, because there are people out there right now that are feeling alone. And if you are someone that is feeling alone, comment, and I guarantee you are going to get a response from someone in this community. I hope you feel more empowered with these tools. You just have to tap into it.
This knowledge that I'm going to be sharing in this video honestly feels illegal to know. But this is in the Bible, this is from scripture, so I'm going to explain to you God's secret formula for success. And if you want this to work, you've got to really pay attention, make notes, save this video, watch it over and over and over again until it goes into your mind, okay? So I'm gonna make an explanation. I hope you enjoy it. If you do not forget to subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot, and send it to someone who you think will really benefit from this. So I love you guys so much. Let's get into the video. Okay, so I'm just gonna run you guys through what this is. So this is a whiteboard video. Bear with me on this, it's my first video like this. So I'm gonna just run you guys through, explain, decode together, because there's some really priceless information in here, and it honestly feels illegal to know. So, God's success formula. So in Genesis 1:1, it's all about creation. And I ask myself, why? Why did God create all this? Why did he create us? Why are we here? Why did he want to create something like what we experience right now? There must be a reason behind it. So I went deeper into this reason. It's not really about us, that's the thing. Like, we have to get out of the human narcissism. The reason he created us was not because of us. It was just to really demonstrate his nature. So God is creative. It just states he can create universes, he can create anything in it. He can create us and what we are here to do. He created all of it. He's the creator of all things. He's the creator of the universe. Okay, so what's the first thing he said? Okay, we were made in his image. What does this mean? It means that we are extensions of God, and we also have that same creative power within us. So that's really, really important information to know. We have that same creative power. So we can create things into our lives and create new versions of ourselves to create different things. So that what's the first thing he said to us? Be fruitful, do multiply, do replenish, do subdue, have dominion. So what is this? What's this pattern? So be plus do equals have.
I'm sure.
So that
Is
is
she
the
very,
success
very
formula.
religious,
When you
or
can be a certain thing and you can do, so you can take action, you can combine the both, you can have. Okay, sorry about the ring light. When you be something and you do something consistently, which is in alignment with what it is that you actually want, you can have it. Be, do, have. It's a really repetitive pattern that comes over and over and over again. So just remember really clearly, remember this forever, that your desires are God-given. Your dreams in your heart are God-given. They're there for a reason. God doesn't plant dreams in our hearts for no reason. And in Genesis, he's literally giving us the cheat code, which feels illegal to know, to get this into our reality. We are extensions of God. We have the same creative power within us, with full glory to God. He gave us it. He created us. We cannot take away the credit where it's due, okay? We should always be grateful and thank God for every single thing, because we wouldn't have this ability if it wasn't for him, right? We wouldn't be able to create things in our minds, so with imagination, and align ourselves with energy. Like, this is all God-given, and we can never stop giving thanks to God for bringing this and giving us these tools to kind of bring things and create things in our reality. So he said that we should be fruitful, do multiply, do replenish, do subdue, have dominion of what we want to experience. We should be fruitful. We should be, creating success. We should be creating more of what we want in our life with multiply. We should replenish the things that have been taken away. We should bring back with something that we want, which aligns to us, okay? So always, always remember this. If you are struggling with life transformation or just becoming a better version of yourself, come back to this video every single time, because this is a success formula that just works over and over and over again. It's helped me change my whole life, and hopefully this video can help other people change theirs too. So I'm going to end this video there. I love you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
I once got my heart broken so bad by someone who explained that he didn't think that I was capable of love. Has anyone ever said something that was so damning to you before? I will never forget that. The feeling not just of the loss of hope that something wonderful was happening in my life, but thinking, oh, I found the one. But the introduction of that poison idea that something was fundamentally wrong with me. And for a long time afterward, I tried to figure out, what did he mean? Because of course I am capable of love. But what was true was that at that time, I was not partner material. Do you even know what that is? I didn't know what it was. And this was a long time ago. And I've had a long time to think about what it is that readies a person to be not just a romantic interest, but like a good bet for life, an amazing catch.
Today, I'm going to talk about the traits you need to attract a healthy person. If you're like me and you've experienced complex trauma, you've probably had relationships where you haven't been fully loved, respected, or even able to feel safe. Actually, the clearest way to know if you've experienced complex trauma is to look back on your relationship history. And if you've had a series of dysfunctional relationships where your needs went completely unmet, where you were the one who kept giving and didn't get much in return, or if you've experienced abuse in any way, you've probably experienced complex trauma. I think all of us go into relationships wanting to meet someone who shows up for us and who treats us well. We have the intention of meeting this person, but ultimately our trust is betrayed in some way by them. We might feel like they weren't who they said they were. We might find out that they're highly irresponsible in some way, or even that they have a secret addiction or an issue that they've kept hidden from us. One thing that people with complex trauma struggle with is asking themselves, why couldn't I see this? You might have even asked yourself that, where you're looking back at your relationships and the red flags just seem so clear. But at the time, you didn't notice them at all. Or maybe you did notice them, but you felt like, I can fix this person or I can make it work. This is often the end result of someone who's experienced complex trauma. You've been working your whole life. Ever since you were a child, you've been working to be loved, to stop your parents from fighting, to help your parents financially, or maybe you were fighting to get their attention or their approval. So it makes sense that when you meet someone and you see the gaps or the issues that they have, instead of saying, you know what, this isn't something that I want to take on, or even that I should take on for another adult, you go right into the role of playing fixer or of trying to get them to reach their potential in some way. Now, it's important to understand that emotionally healthy people aren't looking for a project in another person. They're looking for someone who's a responsible, autonomous adult that adds to their life. They're looking for someone that they can build with, that they can collaborate with. They are ready to enrich another person's life and ready to allow that person to enrich their own lives. When they're dating someone who starts to show the signs that they're just not capable of doing those things, they'll ultimately leave that relationship. Someone with complex trauma, however, really struggles to leave dysfunctional relationships because they have so many issues with abandonment. The end of a relationship is just so triggering and so overwhelming that they would rather stay with a person who doesn't fulfill their needs than to face those feelings of loss and rejection that they are so used to from their own childhood. I remember early on in my career as a psychologist, someone said to me in a session, my picker is off. You might have heard that phrase, maybe even said that phrase yourself. What this means is that you pick people who ultimately just aren't good for you. Now, while it's an oversimplification, what it is saying is that the person grew up with some trauma that left them with some self-worth issues, some insecurities, or some issues with discretion in picking a healthy partner. What we really want to do to fix our picker, or to create a situation where we step back from relationships and do some self-reflection. The next time that we're in a relationship, we can see things more clearly, and then we can choose a partner more consciously and more intentionally. And sometimes there is this belief that if we just need to search harder for the right person, but the truth is, when we work on ourselves and when we start to create healthier habits and behaviors within ourselves, we'll actually naturally attract the people who have those same traits. Because one thing is always true. Emotionally healthy people are looking for emotionally healthy people. So now, I'm going to go through the different traits that will help us attract healthier people into our lives. The first trait is we want to have clear values. Healthy people are attracted to people who have clear values. And here's the important part, who live those values. Now, everyone is going to have different values. You might be looking for a partner who really wants to have children and raise a family. Or you might be looking for a partner that values freedom and financial independence. Whatever your value is, you need to become aware of it. And you need to start living those values. So a healthy person who's looking for a partner to have children with is going to want to look for signs that the person is capable of taking care of a family, both physically and emotionally. And if they meet someone who's struggling to take care of themselves, they're going to know that that person just isn't a match. The first thing you might want to do is begin to think about and write out your values. And again, these are the things that are most important to you. And then you want to start practicing living those values. So for example, if you're looking for someone who's financially independent, you're going to want to start to learn about budgeting, about finances, and you're going to want to start to put those practices in place for yourself first. The second trait to help you attract emotionally healthy individuals is you're going to want to take care of yourself.
This is very good advice.
Now, this is good not only for attracting the right person, but also for yourself.
Very
You're going to look
solid.
at the food you're eating, your sleep schedule, how much you're drinking, and how much you're dedicating to things that make you better, healthier, happier. So many of us, we go through a breakup and we go right back out into dating. So you might want to pause and take some time to focus on taking care of you. And in this process, you will naturally meet other people who are doing the same thing. The third trait to help you attract emotionally healthy people is you want to begin to notice if you're carrying a lot of unresolved anger. Most of us are carrying anger from our past because anger is really just a sign that our needs weren't met or that our boundaries were violated in some way. It's actually a really natural and healthy emotion. But if we're not aware of when we're feeling angry or how we react to anger, we can unknowingly project our anger onto other people. Now, this means that instead of understanding that anger is our own emotion, we end up blaming those around us or making them responsible for the way that we feel. You've probably met someone with a lot of unresolved anger before. They might get really triggered very easily. You might end up feeling like you're walking on eggshells around them. You might even notice this pattern in yourself. So it's really, really important to understand your anger and to work through your anger, to learn how to do breath work or meditation, how to express your anger in healthier ways. The fourth trait to begin to attract healthier people is you want to actually put yourself out there. Now, for a lot of you, this one might seem obvious, but a lot of us don't actually take the steps to meet new people. We have this expectation that connections or relationships will just happen to us. Or maybe we get on a dating app and then we shut down to the process of it all together. Now, in order to attract emotionally healthy people, we have to expose ourselves to new experiences and situations where we can actually meet new people. We have to actually go on that date, answer that message on a dating app, or maybe even start a new hobby, join a new group. It's often those who we meet that end up connecting us to the person that really just fits into our lives. So if we're isolating ourselves, or if we're only halfway putting ourselves out there, we just won't give ourselves the opportunity to even connect with the people that we're meant to connect with. And this is so important, this next step. We have to practice giving people a chance. We have to be willing not only to meet new people, but to slowly let a relationship develop, even if there aren't fireworks right from the beginning, as many of us are looking for. We really need to give people a chance, give the relationship a chance to develop and to deepen. And sometimes it can actually even be a good sign that the new person in our life isn't our typical type. They're not giving us those anxious butterflies. That might be a sign that that's a healthier relationship for us in the long term. Now, I would love to hear from you listening. Which of these traits do you already see in yourself? And which ones will you commit to working on? Leave it in the comments below.
The subconscious, how to...
Very good video. I think we left a like. I like this a lot.
I'm 37, never married, no kids, and here's the kicker. I'm not broken. Shocking, right? For some people, this might sound like a confession, but for me, it's a badge of honor. And I want to tell you why.
The story.
Picture this, it's Friday night. The world is out on dates or binge watching the latest hit show. And me, I'm in my kitchen, barefoot, attacked like kids, dreamed like fools, and fought like... Turns out, it's all in the kneading. For you.
It's AI story. It's so bad. Don't even bother. It doesn't have any deeper meaning than a commercial you can watch on like peasant TV. Wow, we have so many videos in here. When are we ever gonna watch them? Okay, let's watch one more. Little one.
Your mind and your ego love to play tricks on you. A negative thought might feel so real, especially if it's something that you've told yourself a million times and that you've felt the need to loop over a million times. That doesn't mean it's actually based in reality. If something is truly aligned with your higher self, you will feel that expansion. You will feel that sense of peace and security. And my love, today we're going to talk about 3 mindset shifts so that you can actually tell what is real and what isn't. Mindset shift number 1. Emotion follows action, not the other way around. And so you need to realize that there is this barrier, this emotion or this fear, these thoughts that are a barrier towards what you actually want to do. So if the end goal is you being someone who is happy and confident, you can't actually do that because you're trying to keep yourself comfortable. You're trying to hold on to this identity that your ego has created for you so desperately. But all of that is not real. You are allowed to create a new identity for yourself through action. You're allowed to tell your ego, hey, this isn't actually real, and your emotions will follow your actions. And please, keep in mind, this process isn't easy. This is something that you have probably been holding on to this identity of yourself for so long that any threat or change to that might feel like you're faking it. It might feel like this isn't actually real or going to happen. But instead of taking those thoughts as truth, you need to recognize them for what they are, which is just a normal part of the process. Everyone who has become happy or successful or cured their anxiety or depression just by using their minds, they have gone through that exact same process. I have thoughts like that all the time, but you are more powerful than that. Please understand you're not alone in this process. Whatever you believe in, God, the universe, ask them for support and strength. They will help you, I promise you. So take those emotions and those thoughts arising as a cue that you are doing something right. You could literally become unstoppable if you did that. If you're just like, okay, every time I feel like I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't do something, or I have fear, that's a good sign, because that means that I'm expanding my identity and expanding my comfort zone. I don't know if you guys can hear the wind, but it is so loud right now. So maybe that's confirmation. If maybe, who knows? Attaching feeling states to outcomes and to other people. Now, this is just the human condition. But we are so much greater than what we think we are. It is so common for us to attach a sense of security to a partnership or to a job. It is so easy to attach a feeling state of, if my crush approves of me, then that must mean that I'm desirable and likable. And we don't let ourselves have access to these feeling states that we created because we are under the illusion that they are attached to something outside of ourselves. But you created those emotions. You
Like
created those feelings. You assigned
Like what are they
feeling
attached
is
to?
attached to what external object. And then once you realize that, you can like pop the bubble, the illusion bubble, and think, hey, if I did that, maybe with time and effort and patience, I can allow those feelings to come into my life right now. The illusion, the
I'm lost, I think.
craziest paradox is that you've tied this feeling state. You've tied this feeling state to this desire. If you were to invite
Was it
that
external
feeling
or
state into your
internal
life right now
validation?
to let go of the desire entirely and become the feeling state, you attract the desire instantaneously. This is what manifestation is. But a lot of us forget the missing piece, and a lot of people are so hyper fixated on getting their manifestation and like they need it and like having all of this attachment and obsessing over it and the feelings that it will bring you, rather than realizing you created the importance that that thing has. I assure you, whether it's a person, whether it's a job, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, probably millions, of people out there that don't want the same thing as you and don't have They don't place it on this pedestal of importance. Therefore, they don't have all of those blockages and all of the shame and anxiety around it. Mindset shift. Mindset shift number 3, and this is our last one for today. Your thoughts can be coming from other people. And now I know you're like, okay, yeah, I know that, theoretically, blah, blah, blah. The people that we choose to spend our time with, whether it's online, whether it's in person, whether it's at the workplace or in school, you can pick up on their energy. And I'm not only talking from a psychological lens, like seeing their behavior and like the mirror effect, like your mirror neurons are firing, and so you start doing the same thing that they do, right? From a spiritual lens, if someone is heavy and they carry that darkness and you don't know how to protect yourself or how to clear that, you will pick up on that. I assure you 1,000 times, you will pick up on that. I was so extremely in this dark place a few years ago, and all of my friends had really bad depression. Some of them were actually very... And naturally, like, I know myself, and naturally I am a very happy, joyful person. Of course, I experience the full range of emotions. However, to my core, I know who I am. And these people had a lot of darkness going on. And I was kind of everyone's therapist, and they all unloaded this onto me, whether or not they were even talking about negative stuff. When I talked to them, I felt their energy, especially if you are a woman watching this. But I feel like it doesn't even matter if you're a man or a woman or a person, whatever you identify. If you are an empathetic person, you are going to pick up on other people's energy. You are absolutely going to. And if you don't have a method for clearing that, for actually, number one, recognizing that you can, and recognizing that all of your thoughts might not be yours. Second, having a method for clearing it, whether that is a spiritual ritual. I actually talk about a really powerful spiritual ritual that has helped me so much in the 14-day energy shift that is linked in my bio, if you are interested, of like the step-by-step of how to like cut the cords of other people's energy. And also realizing how to shift other people's energy and create that into something that you want. This is what alchemy is. And this is also like a very powerful tool of being able to take energy, even if it's dark, and transmute it into something that is powerful, something that benefits you. That's it. That is it for today. And so if you want like a physical workbook and journaling prompts that apply to everything that was said in this video, check out, again, the 14-day energy shift in the bio. And yeah, that is it for today. My name's Emma, and I love you so much. If you've made it this far, comment down below because I would love to hear from you. Mwah, mwah. I'm sending you so much light and love and good vibes because you deserve it. You really do. And if there's any part of you that's telling you that it's too hard or you don't deserve it, try and challenge that. Question it. Ask it, what do you need? Yeah, just a little thought experiment. Mwah. Bye.
Artificial general intelligence.
I have a headache. Why? But why?
Hi guys, most men don't realize this until it's too late, but how she treats you when you have nothing will tell you everything you need to know about her. Not when you're up, not when you're taking her out, validating her every move, blowing up her phone with attention she didn't earn, not when you're handing her a version of yourself that's already complete. I'm talking about when you're in the trenches, when life hits you in the mouth, when your confidence is shaken, when the money isn't flowing, when your energy is low and your focus is internal because you're trying to rebuild. That's when her real identity shows. Because women don't just attach to you, they attach to how you make them feel. They attach to what you represent. And when that emotional high fades, so does their loyalty. A woman will say she loves you, she'll say she's down for you, but those words mean nothing if she bails when the benefits disappear. Yes, some women are loyal to the man, but most are just loyal to the feeling of being chosen by the man. And when you're no longer choosing her the way you used to because you're focused on survival and your grind, she starts to pull away, she starts looking elsewhere, and you're left wondering how someone who once called you their everything flipped so fast. But let me break this down clearly. That woman didn't change. She just revealed who she truly was. You see, it's easy to love someone when they're giving. It's easy to stay loyal to a man who's pouring into you nonstop. But real character shows when there's nothing to gain. Most men never get to see that side of a woman until it's too late. They confuse attraction for commitment. They mistake convenience for loyalty. They think she stayed with me when I was up means she'll ride with me if I lost it all. And then the loss comes and she's gone. So let me ask you this. Can she sit with you in silence while you rebuild? Can she respect your distance while you get your mind right? Can she hold her position when you're no longer her source of validation, entertainment, or emotional highs? Because that's the real test. Cut off the attention, cut off the money, cut off the time and emotional availability, and see if she adds value or disappears. See if she leans in or backs out. Because the woman who can handle you at your lowest, she's not just in love with your potential, she respects your reality. And if she folds the second things stop benefiting her, good. That's exactly what you needed to see. Now you go and rebuild. Not for her, not to prove a point, but because now you know, and knowledge is leverage. You know what to look for next time. You know the difference between a woman who stands beside you and a woman who just stands there until things get hard. You don't need her to clap for you. You don't need her to believe in your comeback, because the real ones don't wait for the victory lap. They walk through the war with you. So if you're in that stage right now, don't waste your time chasing women who vanished when things got dark. Focus on evolving mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, because when you level up for real, the ones who left can't reach you anymore. And if she does try and come back, she's not coming back to the same man she left. She's coming back to a version of you that upgraded through pain, clarity, and discipline. You just need to make sure that she upgraded herself just as much, because the next time you let someone close, it needs to be someone who can handle your silence, not just your spotlight, because how she treats you when you have nothing reveals everything. So with that being said, until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
If you
Was
ever
that
have
AI
times
or
when no matter
not?
what you do, no matter how hard you push yourself mentally, no matter how much you remind yourself,
Ich glaube, das war's fürs Erste. Ich gehe auf. Good night, guys. Come back tomorrow, maybe. Wait, what is tomorrow? Oh my god, it's Friday already. Okay. We might play some games. See you then. GG, thank you. Bye.